WGN Sports.
That you might be dealing with cold temperatures in Chicago. It's not the case here in the Cactus League. At Camelback Ranch, the Rangers and the White Sox, it is our opener on television in the 2017 season. Thanks for joining us once again. So glad to have you along. Steve Stone, Jason Benetti along with you. And look, it is a very exciting time around the White Sox. Some young talent has come in via the trades during the offseason. And we're pretty pumped to get to see it here in spring training.
We're about halfway through spring training, and that means you take inventory of who's hurt, who's healthy, who's going to make the team, who's not. Right now, a lot of question marks. Although the White Sox don't have near as many questions as most teams, they got a lot of young players. We're going to see a few today.
We'll see one on the mound coming out of the chute. Michael Kopech, 20-year-old, formerly of the Red Sox organization. He'll start today.
You're going to love the fact that he's got a big arm. The question is, can he get the secondary pitches over the plate? It's going to be a couple innings today, maybe stretched to 3, but this is a guy that can throw the ball in excess of 100 miles an hour. The question is, can he get the slider and the changeup over the plate? Right now, they're starting to figure out if he does have good enough stuff to be in the major leagues. I think the answer is yes. All he needs is some experience, and the only way to get that is get the innings in the minor leagues under your belt.
You ready to get this going?
I am. I'm excited.
Let's play some baseball. The well is no longer dry this baseball season. Cacti and lineups after this. Your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers. Stop by today or visit buyhyundai.com and see why at Hyundai better drives us. Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Ford, inviting you to visit your local Ford store or buyfordnow.com. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. Choose Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, the card to carry through it all. And by Honda. Great deals are waiting for you now at your local Honda dealer. Chicago White Sox baseball in high definition is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. It is a beautiful day here in Glendale, Arizona. Camelback Ranch is the site. The folks have the blankets out, and we're going to play some of our nation's pastime.
The really nice weather was slow getting here. It's here now. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I've got a feeling, and this is just me, that the Rangers lineup is up next.
You know, your knee's working properly. You feel that in your knee during the season, and it's not even spring training for your knee. Delino DeShields leads it off. Then the 21-year-old wonder, Nomar Mazara in right field, one of the top rookies last year. Gallo, Middlebrooks, James Loney has come over on a one-year deal. A.J. Jimenez, Drew Robinson, the veteran Doug Bernier, and Hanser Alberto is the second baseman for Texas today.
We're going to take a look at the defense and how they're going to line up left to right for Rick Renteria. It's Liriano, May, and Garcia in the outfield. There's always a Garcia in the outfield if you're watching White Sox baseball. Then Todd Frazier back in the lineup. Nice to see him back after assorted injuries or so. Leury Garcia at shortstop. Then it's Cabrera, Abreu. Kevin Smith gets a nod behind the plate, and hard throwing, very young Michael Kopech on the hill. He's got a great arm coming over for Boston in the Chris Sale deal. There you look at last season. And when you throw as hard as he does, the question will always linger. Are you better served as a starter or a reliever? Right now, the Sox want him as a starter. They're trying to stretch him out. He's got a tremendous upside at this very early stage of what appears to be a promising career. And there you look at the umpires. That's Jordan Baker, the king-size umpire behind the plate. Then it's Bill Miller, Alan Porter's at second base, Stu Shearwater taking over at first.
But don't get too used to them there, because the umpires move around the bases during spring training.
But they will do that. But we do know one thing. If it's a gigantic man on the field, it'll be Jordan Baker, who has to be, by a long shot, the tallest umpire in the league.
It's just about time for baseball, Tony. You excited about this season?
You know what I like? I like the fact that we're taking a look at some young players that we haven't seen in the White Sox organization. Now, odds are overwhelming. We're not going to see a lot of them when the season starts. We will see them this year. But having been here in 1973, where they had some great arms, Rich Gossage, Terry Forster, Bart Johnson, these are the best young arms I've ever seen come into a Chicago White Sox camp, the arms they have here this spring. It's pretty impressive.
That's a lot of time that you've seen White Sox players, and Michael Kopech is part of that. 20-year-old Texan who we get our first look at. He did make a start against the Mariners earlier in spring training, and his first pitch is singled to left by Delino DeShields. First pitch, 12:07. Game time temperature, we were thinking about leaving it out for you, considering the weather you're dealing with back home. But we're going to tell you anyway. It's 82 degrees here in Arizona today.
It's been a particularly damp spring as far as Arizona goes. That's good because it'll stop some of the fires that happen in the summertime. Also, it allows things to bloom that might not necessarily be blooming at this time of year, which means that if Jason and I decide we're going to sneeze quite a bit, excuse us. It's a bad allergy season.
I thought you were talking about your sense of humor, which normally doesn't bloom until roughly June. DeShields is off. Smith's throw is into short center field, and DeShields is on to third.
DeShields is a Rule 5 pick from the Houston Astros. He's got very good speed. You might remember his father, Delino DeShields, who was a great second baseman during his time and has a claim to fame of the man being traded for Pedro Martinez. As DeShields went to the Dodgers, Martinez came to Montreal, and there's DeShields after the ball gets away. So it's going to go stolen base, E2.
So now Nomar Mazara with the opportunity to drive in a run with a productive out early in Kopech's outing. And that is a fair ball. The Rangers lead as Mazara is on his way to second base with a double.
This is a slider that stays a bit up, and Mazara takes it right down the line past Abreu into right field. Nomar Mazara looks like he's going to be one of the best young players around. I mean, he came up last year. Obviously, their number one and their most promoted guy was Joey Gallo, but it didn't take long for Mazara to serve notice that he might be a bit better overall than Gallo.
145 games last year, 20 home runs for Mazzara, and we saw the Rangers very early in the season, so didn't really get a chance to see him at full bore for the team that ended up winning the American League West last year.
2 years in a row that they've taken the division title, and 2 years in a row they've been unceremoniously escorted from the playoffs by Toronto. And so they're hoping to be able to get this team together, and they're worried about the back end of the starting rotation. That's the biggest concern for the Rangers.
And the guy that's starting today for Texas that we'll see in the bottom of the inning, Mike Hauschild, is a part of that. But how about this for Texas? They were up 2-0 on the Blue Jays a couple years ago. The Jays have won 6 in a row in the playoffs against Texas. Kopech to Gallo on 2 strikes. Inside with a fastball.
Not quite as definitive as the times when Seattle could not get by the Yankees. They had a wonderful baseball team under Lou Piniella, and regardless of what they did, the Yankees ushered them out of the playoffs year after year. Otherwise, I think Seattle probably wins a World Series or 2 with those guys. They just couldn't get by New York.
You would think.
Yeah.
Left side for the 23-year-old Gallo, and this is a foul ball.
We saw the Major League debut of Joey Gallo, and he hit the daylights out of the ball. He loves the ball down. He would prefer it middle in. He doesn't hit the ball up very well because he's got an uppercut swing, but he's enormously strong. And the Rangers are hoping that he's going to take the next step. Now, the question will be, can he adjust to a hole that's inside? And that remains to be seen. They've got a real good manager here in Jeff Bannister. He's done a nice job for 2 years and has gotten his team ready to play the second half of each and every season. And I think the second half of both years combined are something like 71 and 43.
And a lot of that damage has come against the Astros, which people thought would be the biggest competitor, as Kopech reaches back for strike 3 on Gallo.
No left-hander. He's going to be able to hit a high fastball from Michael Kopech. You just have to lay off it, and that's one of the problems with Gallo. You see it, high heat. He just got a piece of it before it stuck in Smith's glove, but that fastball up there around triple digits, you're not going to be able to get anything of it.
I mean, we've seen triple digits plus from Kopech. Some internet videos have suggested that he might be in the 105 range.
We're going to see Birdie today also, another hard-throwing right-hander, and he's had a great spring. So Birdie's, he's at least laying claim to the fact that he believes he can pitch here, and nothing he's done this spring can dissuade anybody of that. Just a question of getting some minor league innings under his belt, which I think we'll see him do, and then I think the sky's the limit for him also.
Well, that may be the motto of the season. I mean, we're going to see a bunch of guys over the course of this spring who we're going to have an eye on as the season progresses in Winston-Salem or Birmingham or Charlotte, or even opening in Kannapolis and Single A. Close pitch, 1-1. Kopech to Will Middlebrooks, the former Red Sox prospect.
Don Cooper is a great pitching coach, and there's some very good pitching personnel in the White Sox organization, but the one thing you can't teach is velocity. And there's a number of guys wearing White Sox uniforms today that have unbelievable velocity.
Don Cooper has a lot of arms to play with in the system now.
And he was talking about, I talked with him before the game about Michael Kopech, and he said, look, he'll throw some very good sliders, of which that is one. He'll throw the occasional good changeup, but right now we want him to worry about location, getting his innings in. He's thrown a few more pitches than he would like to in his first inning, so perhaps just 2 innings today instead of 3 innings.
You know, that first outing that he had against the Mariners, Rick Renteria, the Sox new manager, said, look, you go back and watch the tape, he missed maybe 3 spots. He gave up a home run to Mitch Hanigan. He gave up a double to Nelson Cruz, and there was maybe one other pitch that he missed his spot on, but he ended up with a couple earned runs to his discredit. He's a first-year skipper. Going by Ricky Renteria to tell the difference between him and Rick Hahn. There are too many Ricks in the building. You're going to go by Stevie now?
There's not that many Steves in the building.
Kopech on 1-2 for Middlebrooks. 2-2.
Good hard slider. We'll take a look. It's a pretty simple motion, actually, for a guy who throws as hard as he does, so he's not going to have a whole lot of delivery problems. He's going to be able to repeat that delivery. The question will be touch and feel, and that's what all young pitchers have. Right now, he believes he can throw the ball through the catcher. He just might be able to do that. But
another breaking ball outside.
Yeah, the question for him will be command of that slider, letting the hitters know that he can get that over the plate so that his fastball doesn't look quite as hittable.
And that's the point behind the minor leagues. He was in Advanced A Salem last year with the Red Sox organization in the Carolina League. If he were in Advanced A with the Sox, he'd be in the same league with Winston-Salem. Off speed for strike 3. Back-to-back punch-outs for Kopech.
That's what spring training is all about. If you're a young pitcher with great potential, you want to show everybody in the organization, as well as all the major league scouts around, that you've got secondary pitches you can get over the plate. That was a great wipeout slider. If he throws it there, nobody's ever going to hit it. He just is going to be fighting to be able to get that release point and understand the feel that he had with that pitch.
So here's the veteran 32-year-old James Loney over from the Mets.
Loney's put together a very good career, especially for a guy that has always been known as a quality major leaguer with an outstanding glove, but doesn't have the power at a power position. That's first base. So although he was a plus at times, came up as a Dodger, those big years that you normally associate with first baseman, he doesn't really have many of those because he doesn't drive in a whole lot of runs.
Throw to second from Smith is not in time to nab Mazzara.
You do love to see that, however, because when it comes around in scouting reports that you're going to throw, you cut down secondary leads. That was very close play.
Mazzara is slow to get the hand in.
Yeah, that was very close play at second base. Just might have had him, but.
Steve, are we going to start the argument about replay in spring training now? Should we wait for that?
Definitely we'll wait. We'll have to take another look at it, though. Throws a little high, and the tag. Well, it looks like maybe Alan Porter was screened on the play.
You know, it's spring training for everyone, Steve.
Is it really? That and the fact that his future is all ahead of him, I would like banned for the rest of the spring, if it's okay.
It's spring training for cliches, too. 1-2, Kopech to Loney. Mazzara at second after an RBI two-base hit. There's a fastball for strike 3, and Kopech strikes out the side after he was ambushed on the first couple of pitches by Texas. 1-0 after a half inning, and the Sox come your way after this. For Ricky Renteria. Jacob May leads it off. Leori Garcia is at shortstop. Tim Anderson gets the day off. Jose Abreu, Todd Frazier back from the oblique injury. Kevin Smith, Cody Ashe, Reimer Liriano, the veteran Everett. Tim Anderson gets the day off. Jose Abreu, Todd Frazier back from the oblique injury. Kevin Smith, Cody Ashe, Reimer Liriano, the veteran Everett Cabrera, and Willie Garcia, your starting 9.
Let's take a look at the defense and how they'll line up. It's DeShields, Robinson, and Mazar in the outfield. Middlebrooks, Bernier, Alberto, and Loney in the infield with Jimenez behind the plate. And Mike Housechild, a sinker ball around the hill. He depends on getting ahead early. Pitching to contact, as they say, with guys that don't strike out a lot of people. So he'll be trying to throw ground balls.
Here's a guy of interest maybe to the opening day roster for the White Sox. Jacob May facing Housechild. There you see the numbers on the Texas starter.
Pretty good numbers overall for AAA at Fresno. And, you know, when spring training started, Jacob May was a guy that could run and figured, well, you know, that's probably going to be it for him. He'll get a look and then go down. But he's had such a good spring. And defensively, he can go get him in the outfield. I mean, that's his strongest point at this level that he's played at, is he can just go get him with anybody. The question is, can he hit? And he's shown so far this spring he can get the bat on the ball. And with his speed, he's made a difference so far.
He's got a triple already. And it's a spot in the outfield. As there's strike 3. May is down. Spot in the outfield with Charlie Tilson being injured early in camp. That there's some availability possibly for somebody to jump in like Jacob May. So 1 down for Leori Garcia as Housechild has his first strikeout.
If you're not going to be a star in the game, then you better be able to bring a lot of different gloves to the ballpark and use them all. And Leori is an example of that because he can play anywhere and give you a pretty good effort.
There's a base hit. 1-out single for Garcia.
With sinker ballers, whether it's spring training or any other time, early in the game is when they're at their most vulnerable because the sinker doesn't sink near as much. And you can see it there. Sinker ballers who throw the ball waist high are going to give up line drives instead of ground balls. And because they have so much adrenaline early, and because for the young right-hander, Housechild, he's trying to make the ball club. This is a big outing for him, so he's got a little more adrenaline than normal. Line drives will come early. As he gets a little more comfortable in the game and a little more adrenaline burn-off, he'll throw ground balls.
Here's Abreu. Well, I ask you, though, the weather out here in Arizona, we've heard how it might affect the breaking ball during spring training. What does it do to a sinker ball pitcher? Anything?
It doesn't really help him because you're not going to see a whole lot of rain here. Consequently, the dirt in most infields is very hard. That first hop off the bat is usually going to be on the dirt unless it's a line drive where you get it on the grass. So that first hop is going to let it pick up some spin, and it's going to shoot through the infield here, where north, when the season starts, those are ground balls going to stay in the infield.
Unless a massive heat wave comes through.
Yeah, I mean,
Chicago.
It's one of the reasons why it's so difficult to evaluate a pitcher down here, because you can make a good sinker. And guy hits a ground ball that would be sucked up during the season but finds its way through, leads to a big inning in spring training. So light air, tough visibility in the sky, and hard infields make it difficult to pitch in Arizona.
So 2-0 to Abreu. And a line shot to second. Alberto doubles off Garcia. Steve, do you feel like something's coming up at some point very soon?
I feel eventually we're going to see why you
Rangers after one.
push veterans and get young players in return. We're going to show you an example of a young player the Sox believe has a tremendous upside, just needs some experience.
Like really high upside.
Huge upside.
Long-term upside.
Yeah.
A.J. Jimenez is the Rangers catcher. Both regular catchers are off at the World Baseball Classic. Jonathan Lucroy and Robinson Chirinos, as Kopech didn't get the benefit of that second pitch.
Lucroy they acquired the middle of last year. Thought he was going to go to Cleveland. He thought he was going to go to Cleveland. They couldn't work out the deal. He came to Texas and swung the bat well.
There's strike 2 and 1. Kopech to Jimenez. If you missed the first inning, Michael Kopech struck out the side after back-to-back hits to start the game against him. In the air, right side. Willie Garcia is over.
Time now for our Ford Drive of the Game, brought to you by Ford, inviting you to visit your local Ford store or buyfordnow.com. And there's a look at Yoan Moncada. Now, granted, when you trade Chris Sale, you're going to get some good young players in return, and there's an example of one who needs to work a bit on his base running. If he can just get that down, I believe that his upside is astonishing.
He's 2.5.
Occasionally he'll miss second base. Actually, that is the son of the promising second baseman, Yoan Moncada.
That is young Robinson Moncada, who, by the way, the bat flip was stunning. And Yoan was asked about Robinson. He said, no, my kid's got the better bat flip.
We'll take another look at that. And
Drew Robinson, a drive to the left side. And that is off the wall. Reimer Liriano plays it in. Robinson, a 1-out double. Drew Robinson did not flip his bat, but Robinson did.
And here's a look at young Robinson, who realizes he's got a chance. However, he doesn't exactly know what to do with the bat.
Well, his instincts to go clean it up are strong.
Not bad. Yeah.
But then he left it.
I'll tell you what, a couple years they'll be knocking on his door.
Ooh.
I don't know.
He has a door?
But somebody will be, yes.
A little young for a door. Doug Bernier, first pitch swinging after the 1-out double from Robinson.
Robinson's got a chance to make this ball club. He is their jack of all trades. He can do a lot of different things, showing this spring that he can drive in some runs, although the batting average isn't quite where he would like it to be. But if you've got some versatility, you can make a baseball team that you otherwise wouldn't make if you played one position.
Same goes for Doug Bernier. He's not in the same age category as Robinson, but Bernier has been one of those long-time AAA veterans, can play second and short and third and even some first base if you need him to. Good AAA insurance, at least. Kopech is high. Ball and 2 strikes. Just 20 years old. Michael Kopech from Northeast Texas, Mount Pleasant, Texas, and has never pitched above Advanced A in the minors. One and 2 to Bernier. A slider low.
One of the things you'll notice with Kopech's fastball is that he'll leave a lot of them up high, and that happens to hard throwers who don't finish off their deliveries near as much as they will later on when he gets used to keeping the ball down. Go up by design, not by happenstance. If you go up by design, you're going to be in good shape, but if you consistently throw up there, especially early in the count, that's when you'll get hit.
To right field, Garcia. And 2 out in the Rangers' second.
This was a pretty good fastball. He kept it low and away. It was probably just off the corner. And I think that's one of the things that Smith is going out there talking with him about.
What's the learning process like, Steve, for a hard thrower to keep the ball down? How do you learn how to do that? You once threw very hard.
I did. And the big thing is he's got to realize what it feels like when he throws his slider. You've seen a couple of really good sliders that he's thrown and kept them down. It's reaching out and finishing off the pitch. If you can do that with your fastball, you're going to keep it in the same spot. But for most pitchers, that's difficult, especially when you're young, because you can throw hard. And in many areas, he's dominated whoever he's played, because nobody can catch up to a fastball like that. You get to the major leagues and suddenly you realize if you miss with your location with that same fastball, guys are going to hit it awfully hard where they never hit it before. That's when you start to realize that that thing they've been telling you about, like with restaurants, location, same thing in pitching. Location is the whole ball game.
So pitching and real estate are very similar.
Pretty much, yeah. Except these days you can probably make more pitching. Outside of that, you're okay.
You know, it took the second inning for Steve to get into housing market commentary. I'd take the under next year. Time called. Smith's going to go out to talk to Kopech one more time. Michael Kopech, part of that deal that sent Chris Sale to Boston. Yohan Moncada as well. Son comes over in the trade too, Robinson. And a couple other players as well.
That would have been a pretty tough sell, though. Yohan, you're being traded, but sorry, we couldn't include your son in the deal.
Maybe a deal breaker. Ball and 2 strikes on Alberto.
Okada was talking about his switch hitting, and he said something really interesting, and things that you think about but you don't usually see articulated, and that is being a switch hitter, being a natural right-hand hitter. He's had some trouble this spring swinging the bat from the right side, but he's saying it's very difficult to feel good from both sides of the plate, to be consistent and have the same stroke from both sides of the plate.
Went upstairs, and it's fouled away by Alberto.
So where he says his left-handed swing is nice and easy and loose, his natural side, the right side, is the one that has a tendency to be a bit more mechanical. And so he talks about his father teaching him that he should be a switch hitter, which he was. And it's going to hold him in good stead. Just a question of feeling comfortable on both sides of the plate early in the season.
He crossed Smith up there.
Yeah, he did. And that's pretty dangerous when a guy throws in excess of 100 miles an hour. He's telling him now, hey, look, I'll tell you what. I'm going to give you a sign. You're going to have to either tip your head or something because I got to know what's coming. And watch Kevin Smith, watch his glove. He's looking slider away. He gets a fastball. Yikes. Not so good. But he was able to catch it, so nice job.
Duck the head just in case. Use the glove. Two balls, 2 strikes from Kopech. Alberto takes in the dirt 3-2. The other couple players, well, we have a second. Victor Diaz, the right-handed pitcher in that deal for Chris Sale. And Luis Alexander Basabe as well, who's a top 10 prospect in a suddenly flourishing Sox farm system.
Basabe's got a chance to be pretty decent. He was one of the least known of all the guys coming over, but a chance that somewhere in not too distant future, he's going to be a factor. That's going to turn out to be just a terrific trade. To give you an idea about the impact of the 2 trades that Rick made, this was a farm system rated in the bottom third. Probably out of 30 teams, maybe 22, 23, 24 maybe. After the 2 trades, it was in the top 5. A lot of people rate it as high as the top 3.
In the air, right side. Garcia into foul territory, and that'll do it for Texas. Robinson stranded after the 1-out double, bottom 2 innings.
Xfinity, and we'll take a look at a very familiar left-handed pitcher. Time now for the speed replay, brought to you by Xfinity, and we'll take a look at a very familiar left-handed pitcher. Jose Quintana, who was brilliant against Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. And I'm going to let you guess what kind of decision Jose Quintana got.
I don't want to play that game.
Come on, play.
Do I win something off the prize shelf if I get it right?
No, because you know it already, and that would be cheating.
It's a no decision that he got.
He got the no decision.
5 2/3, 1 hit.
Something he's very familiar with.
All too familiar. 5 2/3, 1 hit, 1 run.
I would say he was in mid-season form, including the no decision. 13 wins last year.
Todd Frazier, center field, and not deep enough. Robinson is there to track it down in the shadows.
By the way, the speed replay was brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV.
Good to see Todd back, by the way, with the oblique injury. Cost him a couple weeks of camp. It's a big day for Todd Frazier, by the way. He's a Rutgers alum, but he's a huge Syracuse basketball fan. And Syracuse is very squarely on the bubble.
That would make you a very big Syracuse fan also.
Not as big as he is.
I understand from some of my closest friends that they pretty much give degrees away there.
They do, yes.
Is that true?
Uh-huh.
The injury report is brought to you by Dr. Anthony Romeo, proud member of the Midwest Orthopedics at Rush. If you have any shoulder or elbow problems, go to RomeoOrthopedics.com or call 312-432-2342.
Speaking of, Kevin Smith may need some shoulder and or elbow care.
Get Dr. Romeo on the phone.
Talk about a segue, my goodness.
But that's what you do when you get an off-speed pitch that's heading your way. You just kind of duck into it, and we'll take a look at Todd making his spring debut. Had a big year last year. Hopefully more of the same this year.
When you look at the 40 home runs, Frazier was 8th in baseball in home runs, 7 behind Mark Trumbo. So here's Cody Ashe, the designated hitter over from the Phillies organization.
You know, it took you the better part of 4.5 months to explain to me what BABIP really is and the ramifications of it, and just how unlucky you can be with a low BABIP as opposed to a higher one. But last year, historically, for Todd Frazier, that was as low a batting average of balls in play as he's had most of his career, which would lead you to believe that this year, batting average wise, has got to be considerably better for him.
There was a point last season that Todd Frazier's BABIP would have been the lowest in 30 years in Major League Baseball.
But he was able to overcome that.
Well,
and finish with the second lowest. No, and not
the home runs help. They don't end up in play very much.
Yeah.
By the way, we're going to have a special guest in the booth.
Looking forward to that.
Via the technology, not directly in the booth. Ricky Renteria, the Sox new manager, will join us from the dugout next half inning.
It's hard to believe it's right around halfway through spring training. And it's an extended spring training because of the World Baseball Classic, so it's another week, which is a challenge for managers because you've got to keep everybody enthusiastic and fresh. You've got another week of spring training, meaning you open yourself up to a few more injuries, and hopefully that won't be the case. This has been a very healthy year so far as the White Sox are concerned.
3-1 on Ashe from Housechild. And that's ball 4, 2 on without the benefit of a hit here in the second inning.
Jimenez goes to the mound to have a talk with him as Housechild having some problems with command, as sinker ballers will have early.
Hey, join the White Sox for opening day Monday, April 3rd, as your Sox start the season against division rival Detroit. Head down to Guaranteed Rate Field for a fun afternoon of tailgating and live music before first pitch at 3:10 p.m. All fans in attendance receive a 2017 magnetic schedule. They don't get used, Steve. Great seats still available. Get yours today at whitesox.com.
And it's going to be 75 and sunny opening day.
Is that what you're drawing up?
I'm pretty sure.
You get one a year that you asked for, right? And you're using it on opening day this year.
I did throw on opening day for the White Sox one year, and it was 75, and then it was 32 the next day.
Oof.
Which was fortunate that I got the chance to throw opening day.
And then you just hid in the clubhouse for 4 or 5 days.
And I thought, wow, this is just great. What wonderful weather they have in Chicago. For waking up the next morning and realizing this is what April is normally like, and usually parts of May.
2-1 on Reimer Liriano, who had a wild spring training last season. He was, if you may recall, he was hit in the face with a pitch in spring training last year and had such difficulty coming back from it. Headaches, concussion-like symptoms, things of that nature, and hoping to have a lot more time on the field this year.
Well, before his little face shield, you see it on the helmet, the face shield that came in, he was taking batting practice. And there's a lot of very hard throwing pitchers.
It's called strike 3 and 2.
Who the Sox have, and I believe it was Zach Birdie who buzzed one up and in, and not the best set of circumstances for a man who has been hit in the face and now facing a 100-mile-an-hour fastball from a youngster that might not have great control.
To third, Middlebrooks, Alberto, the turn, and that is the second double play for the Rangers defense. Through 2 innings, Ricky Renteria says hello to us. The new Sox skipper follows this timeout. Glendale, and we have the pleasure to be joined by the new skipper of the White Sox, Ricky. Hi, Rick. How are you? Top of the third inning here in Glendale, and we have the pleasure to be joined by the new skipper of the White Sox, Ricky Renteria. Hi, Rick. How are you?
Hello, guys. You're doing great. Thanks for asking.
Thank you. What's your takeaway so far in your first spring training as the manager?
Well, it's been pretty exciting, I think, for all of us. Everybody's working extremely hard. I think that our coaching staff and the players are, kind of digging in and trying to prepare for the season. And we've had some fun moments to this point. I know we still have, believe it or not, about 3 weeks left remaining in the spring. So it's been a little extended.
Well, you've got the World Baseball Classic, which means you have an extra week. And so the main thing a manager tries to do, Ricky, at this point of the spring is what?
Continue to evaluate the players that we have. Obviously, we have a lot of new guys. I think we're trying to just use the spring training games as tests. Obviously, they're trying to focus in on doing what they need to do to improve their game and take care of the process that's going to make them better. And it's just continual evaluation of all the mechanics of the ball game, whether it be pitching, fielding, defense, running the bases. We go over a lot of things every single day and try to make ourselves better.
You've got a couple of things that have happened in the spring. One of them is that Charlie Tilson has not been physically able to get on the field. I know that opens up center field. What does it look like to you at this point?
We have some really good center fielders in Jacob May and Engel and Borges, and they're all playing, stellar defensive center field. They're all having their moments at the plate with some good at bats. I think it's a situation where we have enough time to continue to look over the landscape and see what ends up developing as the spring continues to move forward.
Ricky, as we let you go, what sort of signs are you looking for from somebody like Michael Kopech, so young, on the mound early in his spring training career?
Just, how he keeps his composure, his poise as he's going through some of the situations. In specific today, he led off the game, first pitch, base hit to right, next second or third pitch up, double down the right field line. He minimized the damage. They scored 1 run, and he's continued to kind of work himself out of some situations and continue to, pine the strike zone. He's staying down a lot, which we like, and mixing his pitches. So as far as we're concerned, just commanding the zone and using his secondary pitches appropriately.
Rick, enjoy the weather down there, all right?
Thank you, guys.
That's Rick Renteria, Sox new skipper, joining us from inside the dugout here in the third inning.
One of the things that I know has made him very happy, and that is Lucas Giolito and how well he's thrown this spring, because he came over with a lot of, aspirations of being a quality major league starter, which it looks like is going to happen, although like most pitchers, maybe not as quick as he would like, but he's made some great strides. Don Cooper has made a couple adjustments and so far thrown the ball very well.
Hopefully we'll get a chance to see him on one of our telecasts as spring moves along.
You had a chance to talk with him before the game. You did a little segment, and give us a feeling for him as a young man, forget as a performer.
Well, it's funny you use the word performer with Giolito as Cabrera throws to first, out number 2. He comes from this very talented family. Parents were in Hollywood. Grandfather was in Hollywood. Uncle was the creator of Twin Peaks, the television show. So, Lucas Giolito is intelligent, thoughtful, handles himself very well with the media, and a guy that truly feels like he has a second opportunity. He made his debut with the Nationals last year, but that is a rather stocked rotation they have in Washington, and just trying to fit himself into the clubhouse with the Sox, which, is fairly easy to do when you're used to being on stage and you're used to using your personality, as he did when he was running lines with his mom. When she'd go for auditions, Giolito would take the other part. She'd go for a CSI audition, and Lucas would be the opposite person across from his mom running lines with her.
Oh, sometimes it's hard to play a dead guy. They have a lot of those on CSI.
You wouldn't know. 2 balls and a strike on Joey Gallo. I missed you.
Well,
but not for long.
Here we are. We're going to do 10 games in the spring before opening up, including the finale of spring training in Milwaukee. We're going to do 1 game from there.
Cheese curds are on you.
Yeah, there are some interesting places to eat in Milwaukee. I kind of like that.
3-1 is a strike. It's full on Gallo. Mark Brady, our producer, suggests that maybe we take the trip to Chicago and use those fine eateries there instead of Milwaukee. He's a homer, though. There's ball 4. Gallo walks. 2017 ballpark pass is on sale now for only $39. You can go to all 11 home games in April, excluding opening day. Plus, for a limited time only, you can add opening day tickets to your pass for as low as $25. Don't miss out on this incredible value at an unbeatable price. Visit whitesox.com/pass to buy yours today. It's a good deal all of April, if I'm doing the math right, for $64.
I think it's a great deal, including opening day, which is always exciting. Tigers providing the opposition get to see a whole lot of very good, talented, older players for the Tigers.
Boy, the AL Central is really interesting this year, isn't it? I mean, the Indians are far and away the favorite.
Yeah, the Indians, especially with the addition of Encarnacion, have cemented themselves atop the division. They're getting their 2 starting pitchers back again. Michael Brantley probably will be back again, and that can only make them a whole lot better. So obviously, as the class of the division, everybody's going to be chasing them. Minnesota's got some pretty good young players, but they're in the rebuilding mode, same as the Sox are in. And Kansas City didn't do a whole lot to help themselves.
Gallo's off, and Gallo is saved. Smith was a little bit high on the throw, and it's a stolen base for Joey Gallo.
He got a good jump, and from his knees, Kevin Smith with a high throw that's not on the mark. Gallo in. And Alan Porter, who was the second base umpire, has now shifted to first as the umpires get a different look all around the diamond.
What do you make of the conversations? We've seen a bunch of them between Smith and Kopech.
Well, the one thing he's telling him is, with a man at second base, he's telling him they might use a different set of signs than they used the first time a man was at second base. That could be it. Also, he's telling him to take a couple of looks back. Although with 2 outs, you don't see a guy stealing third too often. You just want to make sure you get in good habits, and taking a couple looks to second base instead of just one look where a guy can time you is always preferable.
1-2. Bounces away from Smith. Gallo is on to third.
That will go as a wild pitch. Off the chest protector, bounding away.
So 58 pitches deep now. Michael Kopech, who struck out the side in the 1-run first for the Rangers, gave up a double in the second, and now has walked Gallo with 2 down in the Texas third. Two and two. Popped him up. Smith has no play.
It was a good fastball in on his hands, and nothing Middlebrooks could do with that. Not a whole lot of room behind the catcher here at Camelback Ranch of Glendale. There'll be a game here tonight. It's a split squad game this afternoon, and then Sox and Dodgers take over tonight.
If you'd like to join in on that game, you can listen over our radio partners at WLS. Ed and DJ will have the call for that. Here's the Dodgers portion of this complex down the left field line. The Sox are down the right field line.
It is a beautiful baseball complex. 15 fields here. Plenty of room to get all the work you need in for your major and minor leaguers.
Plenty of sun to be had.
If you're coming to a game here, you're going to get a whole lot of sun because there's very little shade anywhere.
Strike 3 called. Kopech paints Middlebrooks. He struck him out twice. 1-0 still the Rangers. And the St. Patrick's Day Millionaire. That's post snack time for that little one. And the St. Patrick's Day Millionaire raffles coming up. 3 $1 million prizes. Act fast.
I want you to know that even if I were to win that, which is highly unlikely because I'm not going to play.
You'd go to sleep or pretend you're asleep?
Nope.
Like,
even if I would win that, I would be right back here working with you.
really?
No, but it sounds good.
Well, I like
It'd have to
your
be
resolve there.
the big prize. The big prize would be different.
Million's not enough for you?
It's, you know, tax consequences and all.
I like your low level of greed to start this spring.
There you go.
Everett Cabrera, back from his home country of Nicaragua, where he spent last year away from Major League Baseball, taps this one to Jimenez, and 1 down. Enter now for your chance to win a pair of gold box tickets to White Sox opening day, Monday, April 3rd. The prize includes a 2017 MLB.TV premium yearly subscription as well. You can give that to Steve so he can activate his app. Visit whitesox.com/OD sweeps for complete details. And to enter today, you can do it right now. One down for Willie Garcia, who takes ball 1 from Mike Housechild. Giving up a single, a hit batter, and a walk so far through 2 1/3. You said it's a big start for him.
It is
have a gap there.
It is a big start because he's got a chance to make it as number 5. And if he can show that he can get the ball over the plate, he does have a walk, he does have a hit batsman, but more times than not, we're seeing a lot of movement on that sinker, although he's not throwing it to the spots he wants to at this point, but he still has a chance. And this is a team that desperately needs the back end of the rotation to solidify.
I mean, they've got it figured out at the top. As long as Cole Hamels and Yu Darvish stay healthy, that'll get you quite a ways.
Well, Hamels won 15 last year, had a pretty decent year overall, but they expect some bigger things from him, and they expect Darvish coming back 18 months after Tommy John surgery. They would expect that he would come back and be 100%. When he is, he's one of the toughest pitchers around.
Injuries to Andrew Cashner, Tyson Ross as well.
Yeah, they thought they had the back end solidified, but as so often happens, didn't work all that well. The bullpen looks pretty good, however.
That was a trouble spot for points last year for the Rangers.
It was, and they've got a few guys that have got a chance to be pretty good. I mean, they're not giving it to any one guy. They're saying that Sam Dyson has got the first shot of being a closer, but if anything goes wrong, they have Jeremy Jeffress. They've got Jake Diekman. I mean, they all have good stuff, and the question for Bannister will be, who's going to get that consistency? We saw Dyson, very good stuff. He's got a chance to be really good, but if he falters, they do have some other options. The big thing for them is, can they keep Adrian Beltre healthy all year? And if they can do that, they're probably going to be in pretty good shape.
Beltre off with the Dominican team at the World Baseball Classic as Garcia goes down. You saw Tony Beasley standing next to Jeff Bannister, one of the coaches for the Rangers. Great to see Tony back on the field
nice
after
to see him back.
Dealing with cancer last year, and one of the nicest men you will run into in professional baseball or anywhere. So great to see Tony Beasley back on the field. Great singing voice too, Tony Beasley. He can belt it. Ball one to Jacob May, who struck out looking in the first.
Get Middlebrooks in on the grass at third, thinking that Jacob might be entertaining the idea of a bunt. Loney is back at first, always been a quality glove man. A few wispy clouds in the distance. Other than that, just a gorgeous day.
What makes a cloud wispy?
Well, you can see it.
May goes down to punch it to left. It's a 2-out single for the Sox leadoff man today.
When you have speed, as May does, you're going to find the corner infielders pulled in. That's because you've shown bunt occasionally. If you bring them in, things like that happen. Line drives that would be right at them go over their heads. So May is aboard, and we'll see if this opportunity, and they're always looking for opportunities in the spring, if this opportunity for him to run, you would send them. I would say there's no reason not to. See what happens.
Leori Garcia is the hitter, and that's something that Rick Renteria has been adamant about, is that this team is going to be more aggressive on the base paths.
I think we're going to see more aggressive baseball during the season than we see in the spring. I just think that he's at the point, like most managers, you want to get through this spring with everybody healthy. Then you can make adjustments as to where some guy fits. If you're looking for a pitch to run, this is a good pitch to run, because you very rarely, if ever, will see a 1-0 pitch out. The reason is you don't want to put your pitcher in a hole. You also have Abreu in the on-deck circle, so you don't want to go 2-0 with a pitch out.
May holds, and it's 2-0.
Texas Rangers a few years back had one of the most prolific farm systems around, and then they made a few deals. It encompassed 11 young players that they moved out, Cole Hamels being one of them. And because of that, the farm system now is fairly depleted in comparison to others like Houston, for instance.
May runs. He is safe.
Bernier thought they might have had him. It's a straight steal. He never looks back. Looked like he got him on the arm, but the inning will continue.
Again, no instant replay in spring training.
You don't want to make a case for that, huh?
No thanks. Alberto on to first to retire the side. Little seals and cries.
Pride with White Sox checking, an official White Sox master.
Stream to any screen.
Sox fans, show your team pride with White Sox checking, an official White Sox MasterCard debit card, only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Sox to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, of course, member FDIC.
Oh, I thought they had a new slogan, but you were just being extemporaneous.
It was an ad lib, yes.
You script those? It's 1-0 Rangers.
There's nothing better than scripted ad libs. By the way, we do have some luminaries watching today.
We do?
Yes, the aged Jack Ruby looking on in Chicago.
You can't just be nice to him and say his name. You have to call him aged. Here's Corey Lupke pitching for Kopech, who went 3 innings.
Yep. Jack's one of the noted dentists.
How many noted dentists are there?
There are 2
Oren
in
Scrivello.
Oklahoma. He's one of them.
James Loney will lead it off in the 4th for Texas.
Lupke's had a pretty good spring so far. After a couple Tommy John surgeries, he wants to show he can get the ball over the plate. He's been able to do that. And you never know with left-handers. He can throw multiple innings out of the pen, so he becomes a candidate.
Around those injuries he's had, his longest season in the majors was back in 2011. He had a 3.29 ERA for San Diego. 17 starts, 29 relief appearances.
It's a pretty good year.
Sox bullpen is essentially restocked. A couple guys that the Sox were missing last year in Jake Petrichka, Zach Putnam coming back from injury, and a few players that have gone elsewhere too. But Robertson and Jones are there in the back end of the bullpen for one more year. Cabrera to Abreu as we step aside to see what's coming up on WGN.
White Sox baseball is back. Catch all the action when the regular season on WGN TV starts Thursday, April 6th.
With Steve Stone, Jason Benetti, our entire crew here at Camelback Ranch in Glendale, Arizona. So glad to have you along as the Sox play the Rangers in spring training. Sox are 8-6, Rangers 3-11.
This being a split squad game, meaning that about half the team is here for both of these teams. The Sox play tonight against the Dodgers in this ballpark. So a split doubleheader.
It's very intuitive what split squad means based on your definition.
And for those of you that had Jorge Alfaro in your rotisserie league for Venezuela in the World Baseball Classic, be appraised. He's hit a home run to tie up the game against the defending champion Dominican Republicans.
I don't think that their political affiliation is attached to the name of the country.
Oh, okay.
How fun was that, though? The Andrew Miller, Nelson Cruz at bat. Ball's well hit right field. Garcia has room. Dominican Republic, I'm told, just threw out a runner at the plate to end the 9th inning in this game today. But this is Miller versus Cruz. How rare is that? Andrew Miller hangs a slider and Nelson Cruz makes him pay.
Andrew Miller did not have particularly good outing. I think we'll see a little something better during the course of the year, as the Indians will have Andrew Miller all season long.
Team Israel
4-0.
How about it?
Pretty amazing. Jason Marquis is having a renaissance in his return to organized baseball. He's through a couple of games, and that did not feel good, as Robinson gets one off his back. Ooh, that got him solidly also.
Yeah, we don't have his back mic'd up, but you could hear it.
Yeah.
By the way, the White Sox have a minor leaguer, Alex Katz, playing for Team Israel. He's on that team in the World Baseball Classic.
Well, I'm not sure if anybody would have thought that they would be 4-0 after the first 4 games, but that's exactly what's happened. So a surprise in the World Baseball Classic. Beating Cuba, and I don't care when you beat them, is pretty good.
Robinson's off, and another steal for the Rangers. Third today for Texas.
Pretty good division, that American League West. Seattle is a much improved baseball team. In fact, a lot of people pick them to battle with Houston.
Well, we know they'll be different. Jerry Dipoto made, what, 14 trades this offseason?
They got a nice team.
Michael Kopech, by the way, if you're just stopping by, 3 innings for the Sox, 1 run. He allowed 3 hits, and 2 of those hits came to the first 2 batters.
And I think what you saw today from Kopech was that when he gets his slider in the neighborhood, it's pretty close to unhittable. The question will be how many times he can do that and how consistently he can repeat it.
Robinson runs. This one yanked down the left field side, but Reimer Liriano is on the case for out number 3. Sox Math on Twitter. First correct answer.
WGN.
Spring training edition of Sox Math. Use the hashtag SoxMath on Twitter. First correct answer wins nothing because we don't have a prize shelf here in Arizona. The overall pick used on Michael Kopech 3 years ago, minus the number of at-bats for Yohan Moncada in the majors last year, plus the Sox home wins against the Rangers last season, multiplied by Sox-Rangers games in the regular season prior to July 1st this year. That's your question. Your answers will follow on Twitter.
I can't believe you can't dig up something to give whoever might win this in spring training.
Well, if I recall properly, as Middlebrooks throws out Abreu, if I recall properly, when we were in Toronto last year and we brought the roving prize shelf, you were the one that stocked it with things like the cranberry juice and the cameraman that we put on the prize shelf.
Right. That was more or less a virtual prize shelf.
Oh, is that not available this season?
No.
For possible road dates?
We couldn't get it to come south from Canada somehow.
We lost it in customs?
We did. They confiscated our cranberry juice, which was disastrous because that was outstanding, by the way.
I mean, if you're ever north of the border, the cranberry juice is a different level than here in the States. You never know what you're going to learn during White Sox baseball. Todd Frazier, who flied out to center in the second inning, takes now 2-1.
I think Todd is just very happy to be healthy and be able to play. Still a long way to go in spring training. About 3 weeks left, maybe a little under that.
Well, that's the way to do it, though, in spring training, right? You missed 2 weeks. I know he didn't want to with the oblique injury, but
especially this year because it is a week longer with the World Baseball Classic. So veteran players know how to get themselves ready to go. It's not that they need the extra bats because most of them don't. Pitchers usually need a bit longer than hitters to get ready.
Why is that?
It's because all hitters really have to do, I mean, once you get your legs in shape, and the strength trainers, in the case of the Sox, Alan Thomas and his guys are terrific. They really do a great job. But once you get your legs in shape, if you're a hitter, it's just a question of swinging the bat. And, you know, it's once you've swung it as many times as they have, it's just a question of getting your timing and the feeling back and getting your hands toughened up. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand, but to great hitters, they have very calloused hands. And, you know, you can get jammed and it's not going to be, your hands aren't going to be talking to you 2 innings later. So it's a question of building up the calluses and the strength in your hands and making sure after all of those swings that you can still take the requisite amount of batting practice and not get blisters, which is very important to hitters. So it just doesn't take that long. Most hitters will tell you with about 2 weeks to go they could start the season today, where pitchers will tell you I need maybe 1 more outing or 2 more outings to go.
You say build up the calluses on their hands.
Yeah, in other words, when you start taking batting practice at the beginning of the year, if you haven't done it a lot, you're probably going to get a blister or 2 from the amount of swings you're taking. And it's just a question of getting over that. Once you get over that and your hands are toughened up to the point where you're not going to worry about it the rest of the year, but it takes a while.
1-2 on Kevin Smith, Sox catcher. And he goes down on strikes. Math answer.
This is home.
Welcome back to Glendale, Arizona. We've got a Sox Math answer for you. Our first Sox Math of the season. You use the hashtag Sox Math to play, and we'll get you an answer here in the top of the 5th inning. There it is. Michael Kopech, the 33rd overall pick. Yoan Moncada, 19 at-bats for the Red Sox in 16. That's 14, plus 3 home wins against the Rangers last year for the Sox, 17, and only 1 game between the Sox and Rangers prior to July 1st. The answer is 17, and Ashley 22 Sanders, not to be confused with Ashley 18 Sanders, is your winner. Congratulations to Ashley. You win nothing because it's spring training, and the records don't matter.
That's terribly disappointing.
For you or for Ashley?
For Ashley. That's not Ashley Wilkes, is it?
No, Ashley Sanders, I believe, unless she uses a pseudonym on Twitter. Ball 1 for Corey Lupke. You know, those 3 games, though, that were in the question were very interesting last year for the Sox against the Rangers. That was a team that eventually ended up winning the AL West, came into Chicago very early in the year. Sox swept the Rangers, turned to triple play. Everything was going right. And then suddenly the Sox go to Texas a month later and had their high water mark of the season in Arlington. Sox were 23-10. Were up 10-5 on the Rangers in May. And Texas scored 7 runs in the 8th inning. You may recall Ryan Rua had a big home run. And so the Rangers kind of saw both editions of the 2016 White Sox last year very early in the season.
I think they were all holding their breath when Todd Frazier dove into the stands. And he came away a little injured, but okay.
It was good to see. Todd was all right. There's a walk for Hanser Alberto to lead off the 5th inning. So Delino DeShields will get a 3rd at bat. The Rangers had a split squad yesterday. Sox, you mentioned, with a split squad today. So we may see later in this game some deeper minor leaguers. And if you've got a stuffed animal, please bring it to the ballpark.
We won't see DeShields do it here most likely, but a great play here is a bunt to the right side.
Oh, Steve Stone. Your crystal ball works perfectly. And the Rangers get exactly what they wanted. They have 2 base runners on the overthrow. Runners at 2nd and 3rd.
That ball is better served if you push it away from the pitcher, because as a left-hander you fall off the mound to third base side. The reason it's such a good play is DeShields has good speed. You don't expect that Lupke is going to throw this into right field, but he does. He wanted to push that ball to the right side, and the fact that Cabrera was not at first base made things a little more difficult for him. Those are ones that you just want to hold on to instead of letting it go, because there's no chance to hit anybody on the fly.
So what you're left with is Nomar Mazara, the batter. Alberto at 3rd. DeShields at 2nd. Scored a sacrifice E1 on the play. There's the power of Mazara deep to left field. Liriano is back at the warning track. Alberto tags and scores. DeShields is on to 3rd, and it's 2-0 Rangers in the 5th. Sox fans celebrate a special birthday or anniversary, or even host a business function in a Diamond Suite at a White Sox game. Diamond Suites can accommodate groups from 10 to 100 guests. Single game packages include a great food menu as well as beverages and parking passes. To purchase, visit whitesox.com/group.
Infield in at all 4 positions is Lupke thinking about a strikeout. Got the 3rd run of the ball game 90 feet away. And a power hitter in Joey Gallo up, but a man who's no stranger to the strikeout.
Yeah, more than half of his outs this spring have been strikeouts. So DeShields at third, and ball one to Gallo. Where does he fit in for the Rangers, do you imagine? Beltre over at third.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult for him to secure a spot coming out of spring training. But then again, he's a very good insurance policy in case somebody does get hurt.
Did you say hurt?
Yeah, like if he gets hit in the back or something.
Second hit batter in as many innings for Texas. And that is going to do it for Corey Luebke on the afternoon. Two nothing Rangers.
The White Sox baseball blog at WGNTV.com. Blog is sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your local neighbor area for 39 years. To join the nation, contact Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side. Pretty important to watch Gallo here. The reason that Danish was brought in this situation is that he throws ground balls. You're looking for a double play. In order to keep that in order, you got to make sure Gallo doesn't run.
There he goes. Throw to third. Now Gallo's caught up. Abreu looks at third. They get the tag on Gallo, and that's all. Leury Garcia slipped, and the Rangers get an extra run.
It goes 1-5-6-4, and the most important man is the man at third base. Unfortunately, after this stumble, the run scores.
This ball hit to center field where May's patrolling, and that will do it. For a little bit of a madcap fifth inning, the Rangers get a couple. It's 3-0. for exclusive ticket offers, membership gifts. Join the 2017 Sox Pride Club for exclusive ticket offers, membership gifts, game day opportunities, ballpark tours, MLB.com, game day audio for your computer, and more. Visit SoxPrideClub.com to join today.
And we'll take a look at why the run scored, and that's because Leury trips over the back leg of Joey Gallo. So even though he was looking at the plate, you cannot throw it from your posterior. So Tyler Wagner comes in the ball game, and he's been in the major leagues with both Milwaukee and the Arizona Diamondbacks. There you look at the numbers with the Diamondbacks. And here he is trying to find a spot in the pen for these Rangers.
And how often do you see it? The guy that made the second out in the previous half inning is the high school teammate of the new pitcher.
You see that quite often, especially when you're from Las Vegas.
Joey Gallo and Tyler Wagner, former teammates in their amateur days. A foul ball for Cody Ashe, who walked in the second inning.
Wagner, originally the fourth-round draft pick of the Milwaukee Brewers back in 2012.
On a strike on Ashe, and DH is one of those spots that the Sox have questions about who's going to fill that spot on a day-to-day basis come the 2017 regular season.
Well, knowing the desire of Jose Abreu to play most every day says he feels a whole lot better. He can help the team. He feels if he can play some defense as well as swinging the bat, there's going to be kind of a revolving door in the DH situation, so room for somebody to claim at least a few at-bats if they show they can swing it.
No go, says Alan Porter, the new third base umpire. 3-1 on Ashe. Now, Cody Ashe, former fourth-round pick of the Phillies 6 years ago, was part of that rebuild with the Phillies, one of those guys whose name came up in trade discussions over the years and stuck with Philadelphia. Now a White Sox player for the first time in 2017.
Philadelphia, another team that's in rebuilding mode. Andy McPhail there to help put things together. Got some good young pitchers there, but I think they're a while away yet. They've got some guys who can swing it. They got a guy named Dylan Cousins who hit a ton of home runs in the Eastern League last year, 40 of them, I believe. So he'll be given a shot. Probably not to make it at this point, but they've got some pretty good young players. The division, as we know, has some very good teams in it.
Atlanta's likely to be better this year.
I think Atlanta's going to be better, and I believe each and every year they're going to get better and better. I believe that they're going to look back at that trade that Dave Stewart made, who's no longer the general manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks, when they traded Dansby Swanson, as well as the starting center fielder Enciarte, who's defensively just about as good as anybody. But Dansby Swanson is going to be a really good player for a long time. And the price was Shelby Miller. Miller came to the Diamondbacks, didn't throw particularly well, but when you give up the first player picked in the country, the recent first player picked in the country, usually it doesn't work out all that well for you. And I think Atlanta's going to be reaping the benefits of that trade for quite some time.
Here's Reimer Liriano. Swanson, by the way, Dansby Swanson is one of the best friends of Sox pitcher Carson Fulmer. They went to Vanderbilt together. In fact, they spent draft day together. They were in Champaign, downstate.
Great program, by the way. I mean, Vanderbilt, probably the last 10, 12 years has been just an outstanding program.
They can certainly churn out a pitcher or two, can't they? David Price, among others.
By the way, Carson Fulmer has added something that's going to hold him in good stead, because he's added a cutter. And one of the biggest problems that he had was getting the ball inside to left-hand hitters, getting that fastball inside because it ran back over the plate. That cutter is going to help him keep the ball away from the right-handers, but more importantly, get the ball into left-handers. If he can get that down, You're talking about a guy with good enough stuff and very competitive. I mean, he's got a good pitching disposition. You give him that weapon, and he's got a chance to be something special. You know, when you say, well, look, he was drafted in the first round, the 8th pick overall. Yeah, but he came out, and he had some things he had to work on. And Don Cooper, being one of the better pitching coaches around, noticed if he can't get the ball consistently inside the left-handers, they're going to do some very bad things to him. Well, this will get him there. And in fact, Greg Maddux had the same problem when he went 6-14 his first year. Could not get the ball inside the left-handers. Came up with a cutter. 355 wins later, made the Hall of Fame. I'm saying only 353 wins.
Another line shot to second and another near double play.
Well, he'd have been out had he held the baseball, but Loney did not do it. That's one of the areas that I know Rick Renteria is going to impress upon his base runners to just look. Please, look ahead. If the line drive is at somebody, you might want to get back. But he can't hold on to it, and the double play is not completed.
As a topic of conversation just yesterday,
yeah.
Rick Renteria was talking about with Greg Sparks, keeping your head up as a base runner, rounding first on a hit, something like that. But it goes all across the diamond, and if you're installing anything in spring training, it's systematic ways of doing stuff.
That's one of the things they realized over the last few years was easiest way to score more runs, to make innings longer, is to make sure you're not wiped off the base paths via the double play.
So Ashe the walk, Liriano the line out, now Everth Cabrera, who last played the majors with Baltimore in 2015. 29 games worth. You mentioned James Loney. Cabrera, when he made his debut back in 2009, James Loney was in the opposite lineup. It was a Padres-Dodgers game, and they are back together on the same field here today. Do with that what you will.
And the question for Loney is, will you exercise your option to opt out of your contract if he doesn't make the team? Because that's one of the understandings when you bring a guy to a major league camp without a major league contract. And it would appear, and who knows what happens the rest of the way, because still with 3 weeks to go, there can be an injury or two. But without that, it appears difficult for Loney to stick with this team. If that's the case, well, there are some people who might like a guy who can swing the bat pretty well and give you a better than adequate defensive first baseman, because he's pretty good at that.
One, two is outside from Wagner. What'd you think of Housechild today?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, you look at the numbers, they're going to be impressive. He only gave up a couple of base hits, one to May, one to Garcia. But for the most part, he looked like he had movement. I wasn't all that concerned with the hit batsman and the walk, because he was able to throw some double plays to get out of it. But what I like is the movement. I like to see a sinker baller especially. I like to concentrate on where the hitter hits the baseball. I'm looking at contact, and if you hit the top of the baseball, you're going to throw ground balls. It also means that the movement is late. Late movement is what you're looking for from a sinker baller, and I think he had that. So, you know, this is a team going to score you a whole lot of runs. If you can stay around the game, just get into the 6th inning with the Texas Rangers, you're probably going to win your share of games, and that's what he's trying to do.
Runners off. That throw is wildly off the bag by Jimenez, and Cody Ashe will stay at second base.
You got him pretty easily if you make a decent throw, because as you can see, Ashe took a look back to see where the contact was, if any. Didn't get it, and Jimenez threw it into center field.
You know, the one guy the Rangers Other than Carlos Beltran, we've talked about it. Ian Desmond, they don't have, and he was quite the revelation for them when they were going well last year. He's off to Colorado with a new 5-year contract.
I was going to say, where he was given a whole lot of money. And look, there's one thing that Desmond's always been able to do, and that's hit. He's going to really hit in that ballpark.
He's done a great job of showing teams that he can play other positions.
Yes. Well, that was one of the things that was so desirable for the Texas Rangers, because they were thinking about originally him coming over, and they thought he could play an outfield position. It turns out he could play center field. He could play first base, where he's going to play for the Rockies. But he can hit, and that Rocky lineup, top to bottom, is going to terrorize some pitchers. Now the question will be, are there young pitchers ready to take the next step? Because they got some good young arms coming. But right now it's going to be a little difficult for the pitchers, but they're going to score, and score plenty.
All right, hypothetically, it's draft day, right? You're a young pitcher. You're coming out of college. Young Steve Stone out of Kent State.
Right.
You get drafted by
the Pottstown Firebirds.
By the Colorado Rockies.
Yes.
What's your mental state?
Well, for me, it wouldn't have been the best, because I was a high fastball pitcher who threw curveballs from the same spot. I threw mostly fly balls. So for me, I'm thinking about that career in dancing that I always had, and could I have possibly made it, you know, Dancing with the Stars and all that kind of thing. So yeah, it would not have been a good place for me. I'd have given up 50, 60 home runs a year there in that ballpark.
Waltzing with the Golden Flashes doesn't exactly have the same ring to it.
It would have been tough. You have to make adjustments to your ballpark. Although pitchers will tell you they don't adjust to the ballpark they're in. You pretty much had to. I mean, pitching on the other side of Chicago for the Cubs, when the wind blew out, it was Death Valley. When the wind blew in, you could get away with it. So you got to be two different styles of pitcher.
I know you were glued to the television screen, by the way, yesterday when Kent State beat Akron in the MAC final to secure another chance to go to the NCAA tournament.
I was kind of surprised that Kent didn't blow them out. But after the last time those two teams hooked up, Akron actually won that game. And Kent they were poised and ready for a huge upset. Akron was a 1.5 favorite. Kent boys came, and they did him in.
Okay, this is the first time this season that I'm appalled by your amount of knowledge on a subject. Fly ball, center field, and Robinson is camped for round number 3. Party time.
Month for 36 months.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
Party time here in Glendale, and we told that youngster that it's time now for our first edition of Sticks and Stone.
Yeah, that and the 6 little balls of cotton candy you gave him are working well for him.
There is a crash landing awaiting. All right, Sticks and Stone is where we ask Steve how he did against a player, and there's your answer. How'd you do against Tom Grieve?
You know what? And
it's pretty.
No, I honestly I don't know. I'm going to think back though in between the times.
Don't
where
look at the monitor.
Like it's on there.
Yeah.
The object of this, I believe, and stop me if I'm wrong, is not really to give the answer before the fact, but I'm going to say that Tom Grieve did not get any hits off me in limited sampling, but because he was so observant with the stuff that I had, he became a general manager.
Look, here's why we did that. Rick Renteria, we had a lengthy discussion before the broadcast today, and Rick said, look, the process is what matters in spring training, not the results.
He's right about that.
So we'll just show you the results straight out, and then you can tell us about your process of facing now Rangers television broadcaster Tom Grieve.
Okay. You want to ask me what I did against him?
Yeah. How'd you do against Tom Grieve? What'd you do?
I couldn't have gotten his son out. You might remember his son was a #1 draft pick. But Tom, I just mystified him. 3 plate appearances, he had no chance. Although I did pitch around him once before striking him out a couple times.
Ofer.
Yeah, one of the few guys I actually got out most of the time.
And then you both ended up in television.
But he took a different route. He took a route where he really had to work hard. Me, I just showed up one day and they handed me a headset. That's pretty much it.
Congratulations on your merit-based career in television.
Yeah, that was kind of it.
Line shot to third. Yeah, there's out #1. Todd Frazier is on that one from Jimenez. We actually, well, here's what you don't know, is that this season, Sticks and Stone, it's been picked up for a second season, but sometimes when the networks pick you up for a second season, you have to change things a little bit.
So we're preempting?
No. We're going to do Sticks and Stone. It's just going to look different. Your challenge will be different.
It will be. Well, you're going to give me the answer ahead of time and see if I can actually guess it?
You have to guess the question.
I like
It'll
that.
be like Alex
Jeopardy.
Trebek's television program.
Good idea. Just don't put Jim Rice up there anymore.
What about one of the Giants broadcasters?
Dwayne Kuiper?
Oh boy. Robinson to right field, and it is gone. Giving you some idea why they believe that Robinson is going to stick with this team. Not only can he play just about anywhere, but he swings the bat with authority, as we've seen today. For Tyler Danish, that one stayed up a little higher than he would like, and Robinson takes it way back. So the Rangers lead 5-0. They were up on the Sox late yesterday in a game in surprise, and the Sox put together a 9th-inning rally to try to come back. Robinson, by the way, last year with AAA Round Rock had 20 homers. Year before in Frisco, 21 homers with the AA team, and that was a sizable jump from his previous 3 years in the Rangers farm system. The power has shown the last 2 seasons. Didn't get a whole lot of a chance to see Tyler Danish last year, just a couple of outings in his major league debut season. high school draft pick out of the state of Florida.
He's one of those pitchers not going to strike out a whole lot of people, and so he's got to keep the ball down to be effective. When he throws fly balls, it's not going to help him very much, especially in our ballpark, because as those of you who have seen many White Sox games, you realize it is notoriously a hitter's park. Ball flies out to all fields. And Don Cooper, talking before the game about Tyler Danish, said, you know, he's got a good sinker. That's his pitch. He's got to throw ground balls. If he doesn't do that, then he's got some problems.
That one stayed up as well to Doug Bernier into the gap in left center. And May tracks it down for round number 2. Tyler Danish, who, by the way, came in for Sox Fest a couple of months ago, and to that point had never seen snow in his life.
There wasn't a whole lot of it in Chicago this winter anyway.
This should do it for the 6th for Texas. He was there. 2-run homer, Drew Rogers. Got some pyramid footage, evidently. On the off day, our crew flew to Giza and got some pyramid footage, evidently. What is that, Steve?
Well, what happens many times when the wind kicks up, you see these gigantic formations of sand, and it ends just like that.
What are those called, those sand formations?
Sandboxes? Sand castles?
Well, isn't there like a weather phenomenon out here that you were telling me about in previous years?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not it.
That's not a haboob?
No.
What is that exactly?
That's very bad for you especially.
Why me especially?
Well, because it's blinding. It's a blinding sandstorm is what it amounts to. You can't see anything. But you can see it coming in. It looks like the end of the world. It's pretty awful. It gets all over your house, makes your pool dark and sandy.
There's a bunt by May, and that'll get the job done. Yep, he's safe.
You love to see that from the guys with speed, and we talked about the fact last time up with Middlebrooks in at third. He lined one over his head. Well, now you lay down a bunt. That'll make sure that they're in at both corners every time he comes to bat. And the impressive spring of Jacob May continues, and he does have a legitimate shot of making his baseball team. There are a couple of tough decisions left, not many, but a few, and center field would be one of them.
Adam Engel's in the mix.
Yeah, he is.
Charlie Tilson, we talked about, had a little bit of a setback.
Larry Garcia.
Yep.
Is another guy that is certainly going to be considered.
And again, this day and age, you have the flexibility to play multiple positions that at least gets you one check mark that other guys may not have, and Garcia falls in that category.
You don't find a whole lot of guys that can play all three outfield positions as well as just about every position in the infield. And Larry Garcia, who was a shortstop when he started, has shown great versatility. And factor that in with the ability to play an above-average center field, you got yourself a valuable guy.
Smashed to right, falling quickly, and that is down past the right fielder all the way to the warning track. Made a third. Garcia's right behind him with a stop sign, and the Sox are on the board this afternoon in Glendale.
We're probably going to wind up giving him a triple on that as a sinking line drive gets by Mazzara. Wagner got that ball up. And that one not particularly well played. So it does go single E9, no run batted in.
Is that official scorer Ray Garcia today that I heard?
It sounded a lot like his melodious tones.
Ray Garcia and the Melodious Tones playing Ravinia just a couple of months. Abreu goes down to poke this to right center, and that's in for a hit. The Sox get one more as Garcia scores. It's 5-2.
One of the reasons why Jose Abreu perennially drives in 100-plus runs is that in a situation where he needs contact, he doesn't overswing. He takes that ball to right center field. Whether that ball falls in front of Robinson or not, the run is going to score. And Jose, who had driven in 5, drives in his 6th and gets the Sox a little closer. So a good piece of hitting by Abreu. Something the Sox are going to have to do a whole lot of. That's one of the situational hitting situations where the Sox have much room for improvement.
And early in the year, we talked about it. Abreu looked like a different guy than he had been the 2 years prior. And Jose, late in the season last year, really turned up the RBI numbers and ended up exactly at 100. Frazier to left field, and the rally continues. 4 straight hits for the Sox here in the 6th.
Time he took a slider, dumped it into left field over Bernier's head, and that's going to be it for Todd Frazier, playing his first game of the spring. Did a nice job of staying with that slider. Didn't have great break to it, but it was out away, was able to pull it into left field, and so now that's going to be it for Wagner. He will depart. And the Sox have something going here in the bottom of the 6th inning.
the most serene Haboob. That is the most serene Haboob you'll ever see and hear.
Yeah, when you're in the middle of that, that is frightening.
You've been in one of those?
Yes.
Why? Why didn't you flee?
Only so many places you can flee to. So we've got a pitching change. Sox have runners at first and second. With nobody out, a chance to get closer as they've cut the lead to 3 runs.
Pinch runners for the Sox. Keon Barnum is on at second. Nicky Delmonico is at first. And there is strike 1 to the catcher, Smith.
And on a list of Ranger pitchers that we have, old number 98 does not qualify at this moment.
It is, I'm told, Jimmy Reyes on the mound for Texas. And Jimmy just gave up a single. Bases loaded.
5 straight hits. With Round Rock in AAA last year, 43 games, ERA, a bit higher than he would like, but he did register 5 saves.
So bases loaded, nobody out. Cody Ashe is the hitter, and the Sox have the lead run at the plate now. Popped it up. Infield fly is in effect, and 1 away.
Your early years of baseball broadcasting, when you were with the Syracuse Ball Club, you saw what it was like to spring train in Florida.
Yes.
What do you think the biggest difference is between spring training in Florida, where there's 15 teams, and spring training here, where there's an identical 15 teams?
The travel, for sure. The travel. In Florida, for the Nationals, which Syracuse was the farm club for Washington, you'd be in Vieira, you have to drive to Jupiter or Lakeland, and we're talking a couple hours. I mean, here in Arizona, everything's pretty well consolidated. That's the draw, at least for my money, why you'd come to Arizona. You?
I like that fact because, you know, when you were going across Alligator Alley, it was 3.5 hours at times. Sometimes you played a night game, you got back at 3:30 in the morning. That wasn't too great. I liked, from a pitching standpoint, I liked the humidity better. From a baseball standpoint, I liked the consistency of the weather better here. But I think travel time, I think you hit it right on the head. Travel time is so much different. You don't waste near as much time in Arizona as you do in Florida going from place to place. But everybody has different feelings about it. Pitchers will tell you that it's easier to refine your slider and your curveball when there is more humidity and you get a better feel for it.
But for the good of the group, the travel is
much
better here if you're not being
better.
selfish about your curveball.
No, I enjoyed Arizona much better, and I trained actually twice in both places.
And you moved here 6 months out of the year.
And I did.
You liked it so much?
Yeah, very nice.
2-1. A little bit high. 3-1 on Reimer Liriano with the bases loaded and 2 runs already in. That's ball 4, and the Sox get another run. Bases loaded walk for Reimer Liriano.
Cabrera will turn around and hit from the right side.
tapped out in front of home plate in the 3rd. Cabrera did against the starter Housechild, and he struck out in the 5th. And there's ball 1 from Reyes.
A little over 4,100 here this afternoon in a day that will see 2 baseball games here at Camelback Ranch of Glendale. Tonight it's Sox and Dodgers going head to head.
I believe the Sox are the road team for that game. Which the only difference is which dugout you're in and when you hit.
Color of uniforms.
Were you bothered by when your uniforms were a different color when you were playing?
Yes.
You were? Mm-hmm. Why is that?
You get used to a specific uniform. I kind of like that. And as a starting pitcher, you actually got to determine the color of your uniforms.
You are divas, all of you. Lined into right field, base hit for Cabrera. No. Sox get 2. We are tied.
This ball is up and away, and Cabrera takes it through the right side, and then time to run on Mazzara. Not a bad throw, just not near in time, as a 5-run 6th.
If only you could take it into the regular season with you. But it's a good sign. I mean, the starters in this game are still in for the most part, or at least have hit in this inning and have been replaced by pinch runners. And so the Sox with 7 base runners and 8 hitters in the inning. Garcia 0 for 2. This is Willie Garcia, the former Pittsburgh Pirates farmhand, who takes ball 1. And a throw to 3rd. Safe.
Well, good heads-up base running.
Liriano with a steal.
And one of the things Jason told you was that Rick Renteria said they would be more aggressive this year. Here's an example of it. A short nap on the pitcher. Occasionally it costs you 90 feet.
And it did right there. So Ricky Renteria has seen his team push the button to run. And Cabrera gets back on the throw by Reyes. Told you yesterday, Sox had a 9th inning rally against the Rangers that fell just short in Surprise. That's Surprise, Arizona. Poke to center, another hit. Willie Garcia scores Liriano, and the Sox lead for the first time on a 6-run 6th inning.
Seven singles. And that one out away, just poked right back through the middle. And the hit parade continues.
Five straight singles to start, then the walk, then the other 2 singles, and now the top of the order in Jacob May, who started this inning with a base hit. Used his speed to get down the line as he takes ball 1, and certainly ball 1 has not treated the Rangers well this half inning.
So a couple of the better aspects of this inning have been the bunt by May to lead it off, and Jose do, because there's a lot of guys that just sit back. They're going to be the run producer. They sit back, take a walk in a situation where you can drive home the run. Abreu has never been that kind of guy. He's been the kind of guy that understands his position and will go after pitches in run scoring situations that you want your run producers to swing at.
So you're saying essentially you've got a guy who fills a spot in the lineup and a skill set in the lineup. He needs to do that when he comes up in that spot.
When you're a run producer, you don't want to be looking for walks in situations where you can drive home runs. And A.J. Hinch talked to us about that, the skipper of the Houston Astros, when he moved Carlos Correa into the RBI spot. He told him, I want you to drive in runs. And he drew him a plate, stood next to it, and made a line just on the outside part of the plate, maybe an inch or inch and a half off the outside corner. And he said, if you're looking to get on base, then you take that. If you're in a situation where you're driving in runs, that's a pitch I want you to swing at, because I want you to drive in 100, and I'll answer all the questions about the batting average being down a few points. But your job is to drive in runs. There's a lot of runs to be driven in that don't encompass the 17 inches of the plate. An inch or two off the outside or inside corner, you can still drive home the run. And he impressed upon him that was the spot he wanted him in.
Ball 4 strikes again. May with the walk, and the bases are loaded. The Rangers have to dip deeper into the bullpen in an interminable 6th inning for the Sox offense. The Sox offense has stormed back, looming over the city of Glendale as though a weather phenomenon not to be stopped.
The Haboob is storming back.
Rated full or split season ticket package. To purchase a season ticket package, visit whitesox.com or call 312-674-1000 today.
And we've got Cody Palmquist coming in the ball game with the bases loaded. There's combined between A and AA. You look at the numbers, they're pretty good, especially 60 strikeouts and 55 2/3 with only 16 walks to go with it. And he inherits some problems in what for the Rangers has been a nightmarish 6th inning.
6 runs for the Sox in the inning against the Rangers bullpen. Very fittingly, by the way, Cody Palmquist went to Palm Beach State College.
Where else would he possibly go? Except for Palmetto State College.
I think that run of jokes is what the kids call face palm.
Face palm? That I don't know.
That's where you take your palm and you hit your face with it.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. That's terrible.
It's 2-0 on Garcia. Palmquist has it rocketed to right field. Sox get one more and maybe 2. Save! What a slide by Willie Garcia.
Leary takes this one into right field, swings it a high fastball, and then once again they run on the arm of Nomar Mazara, and an attempt by Jimenez. He just can't go out there to make the tag. Throw is just off the mark. Good slide, no tag, and it's 8-5.
So Keon Barnum will bat. He came in as a pinch runner this half inning, and now the Sox double steal. So May to third, Garcia to second.
Good heads-up play, and as a trailer, you have to be aware, because many times a catcher is going to go after the trailer thinking that he might be taking it easy down there. That wasn't the case, and a double steal. I've seen a lot of base running today on both teams.
Yeah, the Rangers from the jump basically looked like they were going to steal as many bases as they could. And now the Sox have batter number 12 in this very busy 6th inning. Barnum pops it up. This is a long run for the Rangers outfield, but Robinson is there for route number 2. And a Bronx cheer goes up in Glendale from the Rangers folks. Reyes and Palmquist have struggled against this Sox offense, and now Nicky Delmonico will bat here in the 6th. This is batter number 13 in a lengthy Sox rally. Nicky Delmonico, whose father Rod was the longtime head baseball coach at the University of Tennessee. Nicky put up some nice numbers in the Sox farm system, made it up to AAA last year. Boy, getting behind in the count
is that proven very effective?
No, it's not the best strategy, you would say.
Usually not.
I mean, this half inning, and that
got him.
Like it grazed him. Yeah, it does hit him. This has been an instructional video of why not to get behind in the count.
Well, he'll take it.
What say you?
It didn't look like it got a whole lot of them, but apparently enough. And he is telling Daryl Boston that, well, I didn't know that if a ball comes close to you, you get to take first base in this league.
I like these here new rules.
It's really good.
Bases loaded for Smith. Took a big rip for strike 1. How about Kevin Smith's season last year?
Pretty tough when you're asked to make your major league debut and you see your name in the lineup, and you're in Toronto, so it's even more exciting. They got a pretty good team, and then he can't make it to the post.
Back injury knocked him out.
During stretching before the game, he got hurt. Terrible piece of luck. And next time we saw him was the middle of September.
Really good to see him able to make the major league debut, though, because you never know what's going to happen after the chance goes by the wayside. Bounce it as shortstop, and Bernier will go the short way for out number 3. However, it took 14 batters to get those 3 outs, and the Sox put up a snowman. It's 8-5.
6th inning. Robinson 2 for 2 with a home run and a double. DeShields 1 for 2, couple of runs. Michael Kopech started this one, threw the ball pretty well with a walk, 4 strikeouts, and the Sox with an 8 spot in the 6th inning.
This is a really comfortable game summary, by the way. Really settling in
this
this
is
season. You want to do this, Reed?
Could I finish this?
Okay.
Okay. Great deals awaiting you now at your local Honda dealer. Great deals, I say.
You took me out of the mood, man.
Zach Putnam comes on. Injury-plagued year for him last year. There you look at the numbers. When he was healthy, he was pretty good. Trying to reestablish himself with that good splitter that he throws so effectively when healthy.
I'm sure Zach Putnam was being told of what was going on in the Big Ten Championship. Zach being an Ann Arbor guy, a Michigan man, but also an Ann Arbor resident.
Michigan really turned it on the last 3 ball games.
So you saw what happened with their plane on the way to the Big Ten tournament, Michigan.
I did.
Right? Where they had the plane skid off the runway.
And they had to wear practice uniforms.
Yeah. What was your worst travel situation in your baseball career that you can share on the television? The smile, by the way,
well,
after that caveat suggests that the deleted
the first
scenes
4
might
years
be better.
were awful traveling. I can go into trip by trip, but a wind shear that we hit heading into Cincinnati where one of the wings almost hit the runway.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was a little frightening. I would say, hey, I'd say that probably was as bad as it was. But remarkably, I mean, they do just a great job in travel for us. Folks at United do a great job.
It's almost like driving there, the way the folks at United treat the Sox.
Pretty nicely.
Driving with a lot of food in the vehicle. Three and 2 from Putnam. And up the middle, a base hit for DeShields. The starter today, though, was Michael Kopech for the Sox. Your thoughts on him?
All things considered, I thought that he threw it pretty well. You would like to see him maybe get a few more sliders over the plate. I like the fact that he threw on a lot of sliders. And you see the 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Nothing wrong with his fastball. It's very lively.
I mean,
and I think he was just working on getting the slider over.
Getting a lot of that champagne room music.
Oh, geez, I know. So Brady is not going to be with us anymore?
He's not.
That's
Mark
it.
Brady spinning the hits in the truck.
Yep. Mark was right.
What did he say?
He knew that I was a big fan of Tupac Shakur. Yep. And yeah, driving in that limo in Las Vegas.
With Tupac?
Well, no, he was didn't work out well for him on the way to the nightclub, let's put it that way.
Oh, I thought you were talking about an experience that you
Oh,
had
no,
had
no,
with
no, no.
the great artists. Travis Snyder, the hitter for Texas, as that ball goes flying into the corner and foul. We will be back on CSN on Tuesday. We'll be in Peoria, Arizona. Sox and Mariners.
Yeah, I was going to say, take a look at that Seattle ball club. Pretty strong lineup.
Totally different look this season for the Mariners, who the Sox saw maybe about a week ago here in Glendale. Season opener is just a couple weeks away.
It's hard to believe. But that's the case. And the Sox is hoping to stay healthy, as most teams are at this point.
Zach Putnam trying to come back from that elbow injury from last year that shut him down not halfway through the season.
When Travis Snyder first came up with Toronto, it looked like he was going to be one of those guys that was going to stay a long time because he could hit the ball hard. He hit the ball to all fields, and unfortunately for him, it just didn't work out.
Putnam gets him swinging, and one down in the 7th.
That splitter is going to get a few of them, so Travis shouldn't feel too bad about it. That one just disappears low and away, and Snyder goes down.
So Putnam gets the first out, and here's a guy who has had a very nice spring from all accounts for the Rangers. The outfielder Jared Hoying hitting in the 3 spot. Bounced foul. Strike 1. We showed you Michael Kopech's outing in a nutshell. 3 innings, the 1 run, a couple of doubles, a walk, 4 strikeouts for Kopech, the 20-year-old right-hander, who the Sox got in the deal for Chris Sale. Among 4 players. Check swing, he did go. So 2 strikes on Hoying.
I'm thinking in the spring, with 2 games today, there's a good chance this same umpiring crew will be doing the 2nd game. You're going to get rung up on that particular pitch most of the time.
You go 2/5 of the way, you're getting a strike.
Yeah.
So after Kopech, it was Corey Lubke, Tyler Danish, Zach Putnam. We're scheduled to see Zach Birdie today as well. He's on the list of likely pitchers for the Sox. This is not like regular season baseball where you take whoever fits the situation or whatever it might be. Typically in spring training, there will be a list posted.
Yep.
Here are the guys that are going to pitch today.
And many times you have to add a name or 2 to that list as things move along. But I know, talking with Don Cooper before the game, he was ecstatic at the way Birdie is throwing the ball. He talked about his unusual motion and what they're trying to do with him, but the stuff is just outstanding. And he's been very impressive.
It's fun to watch Zach Birdie at Sox Fest, by the way. He's a, oh geez, that's not Zach. Or is it? His brother Nick is with the Twins.
Could be Mark Birdie. Or is it Brady? Is it Brady?
I think it's Brady. That could have been Conrad. We say bye-bye to that shot. Check swing. No go.
Pretty good pitch. One that certainly during the season you're going to want. He didn't get it, however. We'll take a look. Just disappearing off the outside corner.
There's a check swing that will ring him up. And Hoying goes down on strikes as we step aside to see what's coming up on WGN. With our very witty directors, Skip Ellison, our producer, Mark Brady, Steve Stone, Jason Benetti, our entire crew at Camelback Ranch in Glendale, Arizona, where the Sox have used a large 8-run 6th inning to take the lead over the Rangers late today. As Will Middlebrooks gives this one a ride to left field, and Middlebrooks departs onto the berm. It's a 2-run shot.
What little wind there is blowing out toward left center field, and a towering fly ball just kept on going. So with 2 outs, the Rangers get within 1. Former product of the Red Sox organization, Will Middlebrooks, gets a high fastball on the inner portion and rides it out of the park.
Talk about a highly thought of guy. Will Middlebrooks for the Red Sox looked like he might be their third baseman of the future, and it just never happened for him.
Now, I know when he came up, they were absolutely ecstatic about finding a guy with some power who could play third base, and at the time they didn't have anybody there. So the path was open for him. They gave him the opportunity, and he just got injured a couple of different times, derailed his career to this point, hoping to reestablish himself, knowing that Adrian Beltre can't play forever, although he's disproving that to a whole lot of people.
Will Middlebrooks is only 28 years old.
Yeah.
There's still some time for him to find a spot to play every day. Boy, Beltre is just so fun to watch.
What they're thinking about this year with Beltre is using him as a DH.
But then we lose the antics of him and Andrews in the field together.
Yeah, but he's at the point leg-wise where he needs to get some days where he's not bending down, catching ground balls and running around the infield. Terrific player, though.
Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think he'll make it, especially with a few more years of play and some more numbers that he'll pile up. But yeah, he's a good one.
Off at the World Baseball Classic right now with the Dominican team. 2-2 on Guzman, the pinch hitter, and he freezes. Strike three. Putnam strikes out the side. Rangers get two, though. It's stretch time in a one-run game. Scenery here in Arizona.
Grand Canyon, absolutely gorgeous. I think I'll try to run down and up that one day.
You think 24 hours suffices?
Yeah. We take a look at Wesley Wright, the diminutive left-hander, trying to find a spot in the pen.
The Sox went deep into the offense in the sixth. 14 batters, and Cody Ashley will lead off his seventh inning. So you were talking earlier about a couple spots left up for grabs for the Sox. What are the most interesting places for you to watch this spring season for the Sox in terms of the opening day roster?
Well, you didn't know it would be as open as it is in center field, so that's one of the areas that, if you're not competing for the spot, is going to be very entertaining to watch. And Jacob May is putting together a really nice spring. And for him, at least, you couldn't pick a better time to do that because there is an opening. As you look at Wesley Wright, who's been around quite some time, there you look at 371 major league games. He was with Houston for a long time before Tampa Bay, the Cubs, the Orioles, the Angels. Now he finds himself here with the Texas Rangers.
Left-hander will face Ashe first, then Liriano, and we'll see if the lineup stays true to its current form.
And normally you always wonder about the bullpen and where the spots will be in the pen. But this was a year for the Sox where when the guys came back from injury, the bullpen was pretty solid. I mean, maybe if you make a move with a left-hander, there might be a spot open, but for the most part, not a whole lot of spots available. So that's one of the things that in a normal spring training would be an area that was entertaining to watch. This year, not so much for the Sox. And
second base.
Second base is another one where at first you thought with Brett Lawrie there, well, that was pretty much taken care of, but then they asked waivers on him, designated him for assignment, so that now it pretty much opens it up for a number of guys to secure a spot, and at the same time, if you don't win that spot, you can get a spot as a backup.
You would imagine Tyler Saladino of all would have the inside track on a spot in the infield, considering how well he played in more extended time last year.
I would think so. And of course you have the durability and the versatility of Leury Garcia, who can play anywhere. That certainly holds him in good stead. Plus Sanchez comes back, and you know, he's a pretty good player.
Yolmer?
Whether it's Yolmer or Carlos.
He's the first Yolmer ever in Major League Baseball, you know.
He is also the best Yolmer I've seen.
Way out yonder in the outfield.
That's one of the great parts about spring training and just about all of these fields is the grass berms that they have. That
they're going to say the lack of parental oversight.
No. Well, that's a good thing too, normally. But no, it's great up there on a beautiful day like today. The young people enjoying themselves.
Frolicking about.
And the parents, assuming they keep track of their children, really like that because the kids will pass out about 6 o'clock.
Post cotton candy.
Yes.
Yeah. Liriano pops it up and out of play. Reimer Liriano's had a pretty nice spring for himself in short at bats so far. But this is what the World Baseball Classic does. Not necessarily in this spot, but you'll see certain guys over the course of spring training have opportunities they wouldn't have had the folks that are playing in the World Baseball Classic been in attendance.
Well, also, I mean, just the fact that those guys aren't here and they need a spot filled, but also you have a longer spring training and a chance to look at guys a bit more than you normally would. That always helps. Just get some at bats, show somebody that you can play. If not the team you're playing for, then some of the scouts who might be looking for a guy. And it might not happen in the spring, but you get a couple of really good reports. Maybe a month or two into the season, he's gone to some other place because of what he did in spring training.
Yeah, teams are always on the lookout for the next guy in case of a needed contingency plan. Oh boy.
And sometimes it's a battle.
It's an offensive foul
for souvenirs. And the young man in the Ranger hat and regalia, able to position himself and get the souvenir. You like that?
But I think it was a charge.
Well, it could be.
Liriano has fought a couple off. It's been a fun game so far. The Rangers have had some steady offense. Sox with 8 runs in the 6th inning. Michael Kopech was the starting pitcher this afternoon. He went 3 innings, gave up a quick run, and then nothing after that. everybody in the world just yelled back to get Ashe to the bag.
Back. And he got back.
Very smart. That is something, though, that Rick Renteria has pointed out. I asked him the other day, give me a couple headlines from this spring training, and one of the first things he said was camaraderie. He feels like this team is much more significantly a team than he's seen maybe in years past, in here and in other stops.
Well, a lot of times that's going to happen with a team that trades some established players only to get back a couple of handfuls of young players who feel they're going to be here for a while but might not be here quite when it starts. But with younger players, I think you see more camaraderie. You don't see the guys staying to themselves, or the established veterans really aren't here.
Nicely done to wait back by Liriano to bounce it through to right field.
I just think it's also, and one of the things that the coaches were talking to me about, and this was early in the spring, they were talking about the excitement that's in camp, and that comes with a lot of players who are here for the first or second time, guys that know that they have to make their mark with the new ball club. And that's something that happens when you're rebuilding. The Sox are doing that. So Yolmer Sanchez getting his first at bat.
Previously, Carlos taking his given name of Yolmer. Carlos being his middle name. He's switched back in part because of the novelty of it. He's the only Yolmer.
He also figures, because he has not established himself quite yet, maybe this will give him a different look, and maybe they'll lose the scouting reports on him.
Because of the name change?
Yes.
Talk about a novel idea. Well, we couldn't find him. We filed him under C.
Tried to lay down a bunt, just couldn't get it down.
You've never met another Yolmer, have you?
No, I'm Yolmerless. Yolmerless.
Yolmerless no more.
Nope.
All of us together this season in Chicago. Ball and a strike. And that bunt goes rolling hard and foul.
Yolmer was not trying to do that, but all you need to do is get it on the grass. It's a sacrifice bunt, so you don't have to make the perfect bunt, and both of them were hugging the line, neither staying in fair territory.
Bunt went rolling so quickly he untied his shoe. I believe the things at the ends of shoelaces are called Yolmers.
They will be from here on out.
Ball and 2 strikes on Sanchez. Check swing, and he did go, says Jordan Baker, the plate umpire. Jordan Baker, who will not be receiving postcards from the first base dugout on their travels.
Well, he did check his swing, but he gets rung up.
That's a tough call for the plate umpire.
Well, if that happened during the season, you might take a little more exception to it, because he didn't swing. But spring training, late, they can live with it.
Would it rise to the level of umbrage or chagrin, or just exception?
Chagrin. You would be chagrined at that.
One down for Garcia. It's Willie Garcia, who drove in a run and scored last time on a brilliant slide. on a throw from right field. Strike 2 on Garcia. Again, this is a split squad day for the Sox. They have a night game, as you mentioned earlier, night game against the Dodgers. So some of the regulars aren't here for the day game. Tim Anderson not in the lineup today. Avi Garcia not in the lineup today. Willie Garcia goes down on strikes, and the Sox have out number 2. White Sox spring training baseball is always live with MLB.com at bat mobile. The app that you have, Steve. Stay connected all spring with radio broadcasts, video highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat. Today, it's your #1 app for live baseball.
Got to get mine to work here sometime soon.
Well, the tech department is on that. Tech department's doing play-by-play right now. Maybe one of those young folks over there could get your app working. Playing a little catch. Working on ground balls.
Nice day for it.
Two strikes on Jacob May. From a baseball family, certainly, and it's interesting talking to Jacob about his season. He feels like he's been pigeonholed a little bit as a fourth outfielder type, but his belief is that he could maybe provide more than that.
Well, sometimes what you're looking for is not necessarily anything handed to you, but you just want a chance and you want the opportunity to show what you can do on a daily basis. Some guys just don't get the opportunity to get that chance. Other times an injury will give you an opportunity to play and get many more at bats than you would normally get. Sox are pretty much certain that May can do everything they want defensively. And he's been on base 3 times today with a run scored and a stolen base, so things working out very well for him this spring overall.
Down the right field line for May to the corner and foul. A lot of discussion this year about pace of game and tempo of game in Major League Baseball. I want to get your feel on where you stand on the whole thing. The intentional walk very soon will be gone. You can just make a signal for it.
Yeah, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
You don't?
No, and I don't think that when you average 1 intentional walk every 2.6 games, as they did last year, it's not going to affect it quite as much as you would like if you're looking for speed and pace of play. They can do that by making sure that pitchers and hitters just don't take strolls, that they stay pretty close to where they're going to do the job that they're asked to do.
May to left field. And that'll do it for the Sox 7th inning. We'll get more of your thoughts on that coming up after this. The race is on for the baseball. Sox by 1.
player of the game is Leury Garcia. He's had quite the day today, as had the entire Sox offense. So when Mazara cannot handle a sinking line drive, he makes it to third base. You can wrap your hands around the official Italian beef of the Chicago White Sox at one of the 19 Bona locations. Leury Garcia, our player of the game, and a big day for him.
This is the Leury Garcia revenge game, you know. The former Texas Ranger.
Trying to take it out on his former ball club. He's done a pretty good job of it.
Don't burn bridges.
And Zach Birdie comes in, and he's had a very impressive spring.
26th overall pick last year in June. Zach Birdie out of Louisville by way of Downers Grove. What's been most impressive from what folks around the team have said to me is Birdie's ability to throw his non-fastball.
I mean, if you can see 174 batting average against, this guy is not enjoyable to face. There you look at the 26 games in the minor leagues last year.
Inside, 3 balls and a strike from Birdie. And you talk about a local product that's made good. He was there for the Mark Burley perfect game less than a decade ago. Was watching from a suite, he says. First base side and caught by Keon Barnum on the pop up by the catcher for the Rangers, Cantwell. Pat Cantwell checking in for A.J. Jimenez, and wholesale changes as you typically see in spring training. But this is the fun part for this year, especially for the Sox, is the 7th, 8th, 9th innings of spring training games. You can see guys like Birdie, who you may see in the majors for years to come.
I think right now he's pretty well advanced for a guy that just came into the organization.
Here's Leody Taveras, a switch hitting outfielder, one of the top prospects in the Rangers organization, and he sends a single to right.
He's their #1 guy. So although he doesn't have a whole lot of power just yet, he does have big speed, and he's rated their #1 prospect.
He's on with a single. And with 1 out, the Rangers try to build a rally, down a run here in the 8th. This is Jason Irizarry for the Rangers. He spells his name a little bit differently than your typical Jason. Y-E-Y-S-O-N. Y-E-Y-S-O-N.
Well,
Jason.
That's Jason.
Phonetically.
Yeah.
Two and 0 from Birdie to Irizarry. That's Y-E-Y-S-O-N. Y-R-I-Z-A-R-R-I. His initials are Y-Y.
And all that together spells Jason?
No. I'm no longer spelling things around you. 2 balls and a strike on Irizarry. There it is. And a birdie in front. Y Irizarry. Y for Jason. As is intuitive.
It's like the normal spelling to me.
That's 3-1. Birdie behind Irizarry. fun to watch Zach Birdie, though, at Sox Fest. The family was there cheering with basically every word out of his mouth. Some of the panel discussions we had over the weekend. He misses, ball 4, 2 on, 1 out, and the Rangers' 8th. This has not been the norm for Zach Birdie this spring, a young man who just celebrated his 22nd birthday 3 days ago.
That's a record pace. Come on.
Second baseman number 92, Anderson Tejada.
There's some high-level hecklers here at the ball yard today, Steve.
There are. Yeah, it gets to that point where they're probably not going to be at the night game, so they're going to enjoy a couple of libations and try not to feel like you fell face first into a French fryer, which can happen with no. There is no shade here at the old ball yard.
2 on and 1 out. You're saying it might be nap time in a little while.
Well, yeah, for most of these folks, they will not be taking in the second leg of the twin bill.
Tejada is the hitter. Anderson Tejada batting in the 9 spot. By the way, a hearty congratulations to, I know there are a lot of people around Chicago who are either Northwestern alums or Northwestern fans. Northwestern has officially been announced, which suggests that maybe the NCAA tournament won't happen this year for some reason. Northwestern's officially been announced as in the field. Congratulations. They're an 8 seed. I'm told they'll play Vanderbilt in the first round. And a heavy congratulations to the Northwestern Wildcats.
And you have to pass along your condolences to UCLA for running into the juggernaut in the first round that is Kent State.
I don't know that Steve Alford's going to want my condolences for that, but we'll try. It's 2-2 on Tejada. I know Ray Garcia is happy. Ray from the Sox PR office has been glued to the Northwestern news.
Yeah, that's
Bob Vorwald, who's
nice
here,
accomplishment,
is very excited. Almost got hit by his fist pump just a short while ago. That is outside. Count now full on Tejada. One of 2 first-round picks last year by the Sox. Zach Collins, Zach Birdie. Collins just reassigned to minor league camp a couple of days ago. And now Birdie is going to have a discussion from the mound.
Well, there's a few fans that are not going to join the Jordan Baker fan club anytime soon.
Applications still being accepted for the season.
I would think he's done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
He's certainly big enough to shade the catcher, which is a wonderful thing to do here on a sunlit day.
3-2. That's called strike 3 from Birdie.
Blazing fastball in a good spot. Tejada down on strikes.
Two out, 2 on for the Rangers. Cesar Puello is the hitter, the outfielder for Texas. If you just joined us, Sox got 8 runs in the 6th inning. And that is the lead as it stands right now, 8-7. 2 on 2 out for Texas. And Puello with a hard line drive foul. 2-1. Boy, Texas is an interesting team in a division that looks to be three-headed, wouldn't you say? Houston, Seattle.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough for Oakland to be much of a factor.
The Angels have Mike Trout, but we've been saying that for years.
And well, with the Angels, it's can they keep their pitching healthy enough? Because last year the pitching just derailed that club. So I would think that would be a big question mark. Gary Richards coming back. I mean, will he come back with anything? Shoemaker's got to come back.
And Houston has all the young talent in the world.
They need to solidify their rotation. If they solidify the starting rotation, they're going to be in great shape. They got some very, very good young prospects.
Alex Bregman.
Well, Bregman's going to be a major league star, but I'm talking about guys that haven't made it quite yet that they can use if they do have to acquire somebody. You got an outfielder named Tucker who's pretty good. Musgrove, a pitcher who looks pretty good. They've got a chance if they need to make a deal. They've got the wherewithal to make that deal.
That ball's drilled to left field, and the Rangers have taken the lead. Cesar Puello pulls it, and Texas has come back.
Looked to be a hanging slider that went a long way and got out there in a hurry. When you get under the slider, and that's what Zach did, he got on the side of the baseball. The ball came up spinning, stayed about just under letter high, and it was a line drive rocket.
When you say he got on the side of the baseball, what do you mean?
Well, instead of staying over the top where you get a little tilt where you're going to get some downward motion on it, you stay to the side of it, and the ball comes out just spinning and stays on the same plane. If a slider stays on the same plane long enough, it's going to get hit hard. And that's exactly what happened. He didn't stay on top of the baseball and cost him a 3-run homer.
Here's a look at it.
Watch it again, and you can see he got under the ball and it just comes up spinning right in his eyes. Instead of staying on top where you get just a little downward motion to go with that motion away from the right-hand hitter, when you don't do that, you've got a problem.
Barnum at first scoops it up, but Texas has a 3-run homer from Puello and a 2-run lead. to right field. Nice play by Eaton. Throw to first, not in time. He's off the bat. Got the out there, and over at third, there are two runners in the same spot.
Just run him right back to the bag and come home with it. That's exactly what you do.
Saladino to Navarro. Fielders caught. Frazier the tag. It's a triple play for the Sox. Bases loaded. Bases clean. That was only 1/3 of the triple plays the Sox turned last year, but it came against Texas Rangers. It was the first one. The first time since 1979 a major league team turned 3 triple plays in 1 year.
It was also, when you look at the numbers of that triple play, it's the first time those numbers were ever put together in a triple play. Most unusual. Lots of throws all around, and it effectively ended Prince's career.
9.32.625 was just too much to handle.
Yep, he didn't know where to go when he decided to start running. There was no place to go.
It was too bad the way the career ended for Prince Fielder, a very talented hitter for Texas. But yes, the base running left a little to be desired on that given evening in the Windy City.
And R.J. Alvarez comes into this game. Major league career spanning San Diego and Oakland. Total of 31 games. Gives up a leadoff hit, so a big day for Leury Garcia. A 4-bagger.
Yep. 4 singles, run, 2 RBIs. And now Barnum will bat. Former Sox first-round pick, Keon Barnum. This could be 2. Nope, it's just 1. Let's have a patio party, shall we? Pre-game patio parties are the best deal at the ballpark. Patio tickets are all-inclusive. With purchase, you receive a game ticket and can enjoy an all-you-can-eat buffet catered by Baseball Buffet, as well as wine, beer, and Coke products. Patio opens 90 minutes prior to the game and closes 30 minutes after the start of the game. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com/group.
That's fun.
It is.
Patio parties?
We had our own little patio party last year. We were broadcasting from down the left field line.
We did.
Had some food brought in.
That was fun.
You didn't see any of the food.
No, you ate it all quickly.
First pitch swinging for Nicky Delmonico, who is the tying run here in the 8th. I heard there's some new ballpark food at Guaranteed Rate Field this year.
Well, the food there is pretty good.
There's a 1-hopper to third, and Garcia is out. You know, the Rangers play in surprise in spring training. So they're on to those games.
Yeah, that wasn't that much of a surprise, as it turned out. He takes off, and then, as they say, hung out to dry. Want to make sure you don't throw the ball away, so the worm burner over there is kind of nice.
Not exactly the most technically sound caught stealing you'll ever see.
No, but you can't throw it over his head if you bounce it in the grass. That's unless a really high bounce.
R.J. Alvarez got the job done.
He did that.
That's what matters. Two strikes on Delmonico. Nicky Delmonico in the spot previously occupied by Todd Frazier, who's just a couple of games deep into his spring after the oblique injury. Look out, 2-2. I was talking to Sox assistant hitting coach Greg Sparks the other day, and he said one of the things that he was impressed by with Nicky Delmonico is that he has not allowed pitchers to get him out inside as much as maybe would have been expected based on the tape. Alvarez on 2-2 goes outside. It's 3-2.
Well, for young hitters especially, that's a difficult hole to close up. Once you have enough at bats where the scouting report says, you know, you can jam him, to be able to then get around consistently on that, it's going to help you a lot. There's some guys that just aren't quick enough to get around on the inside pitch. That will short circuit many a career, but odds are overwhelming a pitcher won't be able to throw it in there 3 times.
On the ground is second. And that will do it. Tejeda throws out Delmonico, and the Sox are through in the 8th. To the 9th, Rangers by 2. Ten to 8, the Rangers with the lead in our first game that's televised this season. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone, our entire crew, thanks for joining us on this lovely Sunday as Connor Walsh is on the mound for the Sox, the 24-year-old right-handed pitcher. Spent some time with Advanced Day Winston-Salem last year, 25 games worth for the former 12th round pick out of the University of Cincinnati. Former basketball player in high school in the great state of Pennsylvania. Connor Walsh. He is greeted by a pop-up first base side. And no play for Barnum. You know, people have asked a lot, I think both of us this offseason, what's the team going to be like this year? What's the Sox team going to be like this year? And I don't know about your feeling, but as things move forward this year into next year, into the following season, it looks as though, you talked about the prospect rankings, that the road is going to be a fun one with some of these young players that are coming through.
Well, at this point, if you're looking at a complete rebuild, it's not there yet. It will be, but it's not there yet. So there still are some tradable pieces that Rick Hahn is looking at and looking at some other people. But right now, you'll notice there's not a lot of impactful deals being made because everybody is taking a look at what they have, trying to evaluate what they have, where they have it, the insurance policies they might have at AAA, and they're holding their breath that they emerge from spring training without getting a key member of a contending team injured. And that's where some of the trades will come along.
Playing a fly ball to left field. And there's out number 1. Liriano going the distance today out and left.
Thought Jacob May had a good game. He looked good. Liuri looked terrific today. This was, for him, who was making a bid at trying to stay here, this could be a statement game.
You know, if you play the entire game in the outfield, it means one of two things, right? It means either they want to get a very good look at you, or you made somebody angry.
Or most likely you have a split squad game with a second half coming at 7 o'clock tonight. So that does open your spring up for more at bats than you'd normally get, which is, you know, what we're going to see this year with the World Baseball Classic. There's some guys who would normally be here that are not, that are with their country in the World Baseball Classic, opening up more spots for young guys or guys on the bubble to get some at bats, some game action, things they wouldn't normally do. So this is a good spring for a whole lot of guys that would otherwise just be sent to the minor league team and nobody gets a look at them.
This is Taekwon Forbes for the Rangers against Walsh for the Sox on the World Baseball Classic. Some people have said you should play it around the All-Star break or something like that. Play a week-long thing around the All-Star break. You like it here?
Yeah, I do. I think this is probably the best place to put it. I don't like anything during the course of a championship season being interrupted by games that, although they mean a great deal to your country, they don't mean a great deal to usually a fairly expensive team you've assembled and trying to win your way into the postseason play. So I don't think that's a particularly good idea. I like this idea out of all of them. It's once every 4 years. It's something that I know that a lot of players feel very strongly about, representing their country, getting a chance to do something that they wouldn't do except perhaps in the Olympics if they're playing baseball in the Olympics. But you know, it's kind of a nice thing to see these guys as excited as they are representing their own countries.
Do you see these crowds? I mean,
yeah,
the
they're
crowds
terrific. I know.
Lively.
Yep. Oh, there's a lot of excitement that revolves around this for many of these teams that were thought of to have the inside track. And obviously the Dominican Republic is very good year after year after year.
Guzman with 2 out in the 9th against Walsh. It's almost a soccer match like atmosphere in baseball at some of these games. High in the air, left center field, and playable for Liriano. 1-2-3 inning for Walsh. Bottom 9 next. Sox need 2. standings, though, the Sox have out-hit Texas. Rangers lead by 2, and the Sox need a pair or more to finish this game, or at least prolong it a little bit. Extra innings not always a guarantee, as I don't know, that stuffed animal looks like it's a little terrifying out there. The chase is on.
Good spot for it. One of the things that I think we can tell by the game today is that the White Sox are going to be a much more aggressive crew than they were last year. Now, obviously, it's going to be different players playing, but it looks to me like if Rick gets a chance to run, he is going to run. He's going to put the pressure on the defenses, which, you know, is a good thing. Instead of sitting back waiting for somebody to hit the ball out of the ballpark, put some pressure on the opposing defenses. A lot of them aren't going to be able to execute, and consequently, you're going to open up some games that you wouldn't have opened up before. So that part of it is going to be pretty exciting.
And Rick Renteria's feeling is that if you lean on the opponent, something good's going to happen for you.
Well, we've seen time after time that teams that are supposed to be able to execute just can't find a way to do that. If you don't pressure them, you won't know that. If you do, you're going to find them making some mistakes and opening up some innings for you.
Carson Blair is the Sox hitter. The catcher is a free agent signee, formerly of the Oakland Athletics. He played 11 games in the majors back in 2015. Was with 5 separate teams last year in the minors: Vermont, Frisco, Midland, Nashville, and Round Rock. It was raining hard in Frisco.
Where is Harry Chapin when we need him?
He's providing the Sunday morning sunshine today. To pop out to second for the first out of the 9th inning.
I remember that tune.
You do?
It was catchy.
You took off to find the sky.
Right. Good
After
one.
then, yeah. Cody Ashe will bat. Nebraska Cornhusker as he is. There are the lovely mountains in the distance. We're surrounded by beautiful scenery here in Arizona. There is strike 1 to Cody Ashe, who's walked 3 times so far this afternoon.
Alvarez has thrown it pretty well.
By the way, if you'd like to follow Cody Ashe on Twitter, you can find him at Cody_Smashy. Cody Smashy.
That's it, huh?
You can follow Steve Stone on Twitter at Steve Stone. Please do that. He will respond to you, sometimes crankily, late in ball games, sometimes verbally.
Depending on the day. And there's the University of Phoenix Stadium that saw the Cardinals put together not the kind of year they wanted to this year.
But it will host the Final Four as well.
Yep.
In this lovely hamlet. Two balls, 2 strikes on Ashe. Maybe, just maybe, the Northwestern Wildcats will be there.
They'll have the opportunity.
I mean, they've been waiting for so many years.
Looks to me like a few of this overflow crowd have gone away.
Two and 2 on Ashe. And he got him. Alvarez continues his strong outing, and 2 down in this 9th. Steve will have your post-game show today.
And we'll talk about the Sox and their stranglehold on second place in the Central Division.
Two down for Liriano. Sox with a loss today would drop to 8-7 in spring training. Those wins can be redeemed for coins at the counter. Maybe a couple now and laters, a box of Cracker Jacks. There's strike one to Liriano, but we joke about the records in spring training and
really,
all that, but there's a lot to learn about these young players over the course of this spring, and it's fun for us to be able to see some of the talent coming through the Sox farm system, which suddenly is well stocked. 2 strikes on Reimer Liriano. Rangers, though, may have the Sox number in Arizona today. It was a 3-run homer for Cesar Puello in the 8th inning off a Zach Birdie that gave Texas its currently standing lead. 0-2. Just off the plate.
Thought he had it, but Jordan Baker thought otherwise. Jordan, who's had his own fan club here at the ball game today, yelling at him constantly through 9 innings of work.
Thankless job.
It is.
The umpiring. 1-2 from Alvarez. Hit in the air, right hand side. Snyder is underneath, and the Rangers have won on this Sunday afternoon. Your takeaway from Kopech and the Sox today?
I think Kopech looked pretty good. As far as the Sox are concerned, it was a typical spring training game, and I think that these rules that are being implemented to speed up the game worked very well here today.
We will see you in less than 48 hours. Rangers beat the Sox 10-8 from Glendale today.